Kevin Roth here of Rotogrinders, and today we're going to talk about the RG Discord. If you're not a member, you should be. It is a fantastic community and resource that Rotogrinders provides, and it's easy to join as well. All you have to do is click the Discord icon on Rotogrinders or go to rotogrinders.com/Discord. From there, you'll either sign up if you're new to RG, or if you're already a member, just click the link at the top to go to the sign-in page. Once you've logged into your RG account, you can be taken to Discord to log in there. Once you've connected those accounts, you won't have to leave the server. You can freely close out and reopen Discord without ever having to reconnect. The idea of Discord might be a little bit daunting to you, but it's actually pretty simple to navigate. Whether you're on mobile or desktop, the far left side will show you the Discord servers that you've already joined. Then next to that, you'll see the channels within that Discord. We have both free channels like Chiefs Prop Shop and our daily sport channels. And we also have premium channels like Blender's Game Theory or the Crunch Time channels. Premium members can see the difference between the free and premium channels by looking for a padlock icon next to the premium channel names. We also have a few pointers for new and experienced users alike. If you're having trouble finding a channel, make sure that you haven't collapsed the section that the channel is in. Collapsing a channel will only allow it to appear when there are unread messages in that channel. Also, we find that using the actual Discord program works better than opening it in a browser like Safari or Chrome. Lastly, if you're having trouble with one of our tools, your Rotogrinders account, or any other technical needs, you can hop in our feedback and help section of channels to get help from one of our wonderful support and moderation team members. If you have any more questions, feel free to reach out on Twitter @Rotogrinders or email support@rotogrinders.com. See you in Discord.
What is up, Rotogrinders? Dean here, Dean7904. That is my daily fantasy handle. Hopefully it's going to take down some contests. You'll see at the top of contest tonight on DK, on Fanduel. Maybe we'll min cash. I guess that's not horrible. That's not horrific. Some people like to go Ricky Bobby style, and of course you want to go first. And if you're not going to cash, you might as well go last. Sure, why not? It's a big boy slate on a Tuesday, 12 gamer. We're throwing out that the doubleheader going on there as far as Cleveland. Don't worry about that. Cleveland and Texas, throw that one out. We're starting at 7:05. The site's coordinated, thankfully, 6:40 games. Again, we're here for the next 2 hours. Following us, we got, I believe it's André, Chief Meteorologist Kevin Roth, tell you what's going on weather-wise. And I believe it's, DerekCarty, CEO of the Bats, CEO of the Blitz. You'll learn about that soon enough. Joining me today, the absolute best DFS player in all of Saskatchewan. I think that's indisputable, is it not, TJ?
Yeah, I'd have to say so. I'm coming for that Canada crown. I don't know who I'm fighting with, but we're coming for it. But yeah, Saskatchewan's only got 1 million people in it, so I think I probably got that one sewn up.
Hey, throw down the gauntlet. If you're in Saskatchewan, if you're in the YouTube, feel free to challenge TJ. You'll take their head-to-heads, right? I imagine you'll.
Oh, heck yeah! Let's do it. I'm not a cash guy, but a little friendly hometown head-to-heads, I'm always game for.
Yeah, sure. Why not? Have some fun with it. You can follow, we don't mention this enough, or it's probably on me. Follow TJ on the old Twitter machine, TJ_Zwarich5. And then Tim, it's been too long at Tasteful Tides. We've learned on a previous show that was a homage to a restaurant I believe you owned.
That is correct.
Which I never really wrapped my head around, but as chat said, that was on me. They all understood, but
we're not going back to that, Dean. We're just not gonna do that. It makes you look bad, not me.
Oh, I was taking the L.
I'm saving you.
I do appreciate that. What's up, Tim? How are things in our world? Anything worth bringing up at the top of the show? We're here for like an hour and 20 minutes until we see to the crunch time crew. So, whatever's in your mind, feel free to share. Otherwise, just tell me you're all good and we can move on.
I'm really excited for this slate, Dean, to be honest with you. There's a lot to unpack here. I think this is going to be a really fun night of baseball. There's a lot of different angles we can go, and I think it's going to be a fun show.
You want to say hello to chat? Hey, Tim, your boy in chat, Broccoli Boy, is lurking. That's your
Oh,
guy, right?
Broccoli's there. Wow.
Yeah. He must have known. I don't know if Broccoli Boy's on all our shows, to be honest. I don't know if he participates in chat, but you boost the ratings at least by one. If he gets word that you're on the show, Broccoli Boy's going to make an appearance.
Well, thank you, Broccoli.
All right. So tell me about it as far as the slate, because I don't know how I feel about it, to be honest, because I don't really love one offense. I like some, sure. There's some that are clearly better than others. We have some aces to play with, not a lot. I think the cheap arms are okay-ish. I don't love it. I think Cubs are kind of popping to some degree, and I don't like that. I don't think I'm in on the Cubs as much as ownership and things that I'm looking at earlier in the show. I understand that, I guess they got a ballpark jump, I suppose, but that ballpark there in Baltimore obviously is more pitcher friendly these days with the backing up of those fences in left field, the raising of the fences in left field. But tell me why, Tim, tell me why you're excited about this slate.
Well, from a macro perspective, Dean, this slate is kind of difficult because I really want to double pay up at pitching today, but there's not a lot of like screaming value for bats that I like. And also I'm not too excited about the value pitching. So like there's a lot of different like just difficult angles that you have to parse through for the slate. Because there's a lot of good offenses and good spots, but they're hard to afford unless you want to go down at pitching. And I'm just not, some of this value pitching I'm just not crazy about. So it's gonna be a very, very difficult slate.
So you like it? You're saying bring on the difficulty, and the harder it is, in theory, the better skilled player would be able to navigate that more efficiently. Is that your thought process? I
think someone like TJ, who makes multiple lineups, or somebody that makes say 20 lineups or something like that, I think tonight's a really good night to spread out at offense, because there's a lot of good spots, a lot of there's not one chalk team. If you look at ownership, there's not one team that's getting out of hand in terms of ownership. So you can get over the field on some good spots pretty easily.
Well, let's speak to that, TJ. We haven't talked about this pre-show, but I kind of know how you play. Tim first, are you running out your 3 lineups, like single entry stuff? Is that kind of what you're knocking out tonight?
I'm just playing one lineup on DK and one lineup on FanDuel.
Okay, there you go. All in, all out. Sometimes, TJ, you like to get frisky and run the 150 on FanDuel. Is that what we're doing tonight, or what's the plan?
I want to, because of the slates. I agree with absolutely everything Tim just said. Because of some time constraints and stuff like that, I'm running 5 on FanDuel today, and that's it. I couldn't hold myself to 1 just because there's so many different pitching options I want to explore. A couple offenses I definitely want to get overweight on in comparison to the field. So because of that, I stretched it to 5, but no 150 today, even though I want to. I've thought about what my 150 lineups would look like quite a bit. So that is something I can kind of speak to throughout the show as well.
What is your general assessment as far as this slate? Because, the top stacks, we'll talk pitchers first, but just like the stacks are your Blue Jays. You wrote about them, by the way, in your article. Tell the people about your article before we kind of move on.
Yeah, so the Agents of Fantasy article, every Tuesday and Friday, you can find it totally for free on Rotogrinders. I give some superhero puns, and I sometimes theme it to something like Star Wars. But overall, just give my best pitchers of the slate, my top stacks of the slate, and it's always geared towards tournaments. So something I wrote up today in that article is I agree in terms of offenses, nothing's getting over-owned today. You can pick the spots you like, pick your favorites, and take your stands and go for it, because there's not anybody that's going to be picking up a stupid amount of ownership today. The only spot that I think is our real spot to take advantage of in tournaments is I think Carlos Rodon is going heavily over-owned today. I agree. He's probably your cash game spot that you're looking to. He's going to come up optimal. Having said that, I kind of view him equal to all the other top tier guys today. And he's picking up 3 times the ownership of everybody else on his level. So because of that, fading Carlos Rodon in tournaments is kind of, I think, the best spot that we can get some leverage on the field today.
Some other things in your article, occasionally you take shots at co-hosts every once in a while. You just kind of work that in there for funsies.
I don't know about you, but I didn't intend it as a shot. I'm a Blue Jays fan. Their offense has been crushing. That was a compliment. I am thankful. I'm thankful that you put the Dean Mush on the Toronto Blue Jays a couple weeks ago, and they've won something like 11 of 12 ever since. I'm thankful for it. It was intended. The other thing I want to bring up before we get too far in the show, I've realized that Crunch Time and Grinders Live, it's a little bit different. We have to organize the Spidey Bomb in a different fashion when we're on Grinders Live, because we get more and more viewers throughout the show as people prepare for Crunch Time. And so we're not going to set the like button right away. We're going to say every 50 likes that we hit, we're going to get a new character home run call today. And they're going to get less and less chalky, more and more sneaky as we go on. So the first one at 50, the second one at 100. If we go crazy, we'll see how many we can get from there. But hit the like button so that we show up on YouTube. It's the only way we can keep bringing you free content. And the more likes we get, the more bombs we're going to get.
How does Spider-Man adjust to his schedule? Is this normally when he's napping? Because he's normally like ready to go like 6:45 or so. But this is, well, I know I'm not even putting it in Canadian time or Saskatchewan time. I guess it's 3:09 over there, I assume.
Right there, 3:09. Good call. And I mean, that's the benefit of the Spidey senses. Whenever the shows come up, he doesn't have to prepare. He's ready for it. So it's nice.
Tim, do you know about this? Do you know Spider-Man occasionally chimes in and gives his favorite home run picks?
I know a little bit about it. Yeah. I've been on a couple. I don't think TJ and I have done a baseball show together. We did a couple basketball shows. But
yeah, is Spider-Man a multi-sport? Is he also a big fan of basketball? Does he give his takes there? I don't recall.
He didn't in basketball. Yeah, that was something he picked up for baseball just because he was excited for the new season to start. He was already a little worn down come basketball season. He needed to do some maintenance. You know what I mean? Some load management. And so because of that, he decided to bring it out for baseball. But essentially what the Spidey Bomb is, for those who don't know, when we hit a certain amount of likes, Spidey and I, we're looking at the projections, we're thinking about what feels good, and we give some very nonsensical explanations as to why someone is going to hit a home run. And it's just been hitting at a obscene pace this year at over 50% rate. Like it's been bananas. So Spidey and I have been rolling with it, and we're just going to keep going.
T from LOC in the chat. When we get 10% likes, then we get the mush play today. Yeah, I should monetize that. If that was a real skill, I certainly should find a way to just. I mean, I will mush things for a low fee. I'm cheap for that. I don't really believe it's a skill. I don't believe I have that ability. It's small sample nonsense, but I guess I should go along with the bit. Sure, why not? And I think we had like maybe 150. We did pretty well. I'm learning from you, TJ, as far as hyping up. I don't like the grovel or beg. It's just not my personality. But not that I'm saying that's what you're doing. But I'm trying to get those likes up because you're watching the show anyway. You might as well want to. I presume you like it. It would be weird to hate watch it. Just hit that like button. We do appreciate it. But I gotta go to your TED Talk, TJ, as far as learning how to get those likes up.
I mean, I'm a shameless individual, so I'll do whatever the chat wants me to for those likes.
So we've mentioned it. Tim, I'm curious your take as far as Carlos Rodon. He scuffled a little bit of late, but the price is pretty good. You get a discount off of Verlander, who's also kind of scuffled a little bit. Skubal looks weird as far as the price if you think this guy a year or two ago, but obviously he's a much different pitcher. He's really, really good these days. He's legit. He's facing a bad Pittsburgh offense that's in a positive ballpark to throw baseballs. He's pretty expensive, but for sure he's good. And Manoah is another guy I think we'll talk about. Ks are down a little bit, which is somewhat concerning, but matchup against KC, really, really solid pitcher. I'm a big fan of him going forward, like him tonight as well. Just the only issue there is price. But let's start with Rodon, Tim, because he is the highest projected pitcher on the evening. According to our projections on Lineup HQ, 23% on Fanduel at 9.9K. And on DK, where you got a roster too, of course, that ownership's going to jump all the way up to almost 36%, 10.3K, a little bit less than Verlander, a little bit more than Skubal, a little bit more than Kyle Wright is going to kind of get lost a little bit, I think. And Manoah at 10K. I'm surprised that Manoah is less than Wright. We'll talk about that. I feel like those will be closer. Maybe I'm wrong. But let's have the Rodon conversation first, Tim.
Yeah. As of right now, I'm going to definitely pitch Rodon on FanDuel. I would like to say and make a commitment right now on DK if I'm going to pitch him on my primary team. I'm kind of waiting to see if I can get some cheaper secondary stacks that I can fit with Rodon. So most likely I will be pitching him in my single entry team, but I can definitely see the merit in fading him in larger field tournaments.
Yeah, and TJ, you were talking about, I think you're saying like you like Rodon, he's a good pitcher, sure, fine, but you just think the ownership's a little bit too high, and I presume you think the pivots are just as good and certainly can outpitch them.
And TJ, before you start, TJ, I just wanted to, the Rockies lineup just came out, and it doesn't seem that great. So that
Worse than usual or standard?
It seems, I mean,
you got no Blackman and no McMahon. They ran out a entirely right-handed offense today.
Right. And it might hurt him maybe in the K's, but I think it helps him in terms of run prevention. So I kind of think it's kind of a better lineup for him. So I don't know, but that lineup seems weaker than it normally would be.
Go ahead, TJ.
Yeah, so like the way I'm viewing it is Rodon is absolutely not a bad play by any stretch of the imagination, but it's a lineup with a 17.8% K percentage today.
Montero, by the way, one at bat probably skews that at 0%.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. For sure. But like Cron is the only one over 20%. Cron's the only one over 18.1% in there, or sorry, over 20% because there's DS.
That's a good point.
19.8. So it's extremely low K lineup. So I kind of look at this as maybe he gets 7 innings, gives up 1 run, 5 or 6 strikeouts, and has a good game that is perfectly reasonable in cash, and you're happy about it. But somebody like Manoah could put up 11 or 12 strikeouts in those same amount of innings, or one of these cheaper guys could get us a similar score today. So because of that, I'm going to be full fading him in tournaments. I'm not going to be having Rodon in any lineups. The next pitcher, I'm actually the second least high on, the lowest on, there's the word I'm looking for. Second lowest on would be Verlander, just because he's probably picking up the second most ownership today. And I like Wright better. I like Screwball better. I like Manoah better. I like, that's kind of it for the top tier guys that I like better. But Screwball, Wright, and Manoah are going to be where I'm focusing myself on the upper tier for pitchers today. And then on the lower tier, I really like some of these expensive offenses today. So I'm going to be dabbling in some ugliness today as well.
But I'll just say I fired up the old plate IQ on Rodon, and yeah, it's a pile of righties. Like you said, it's 9 righties that he's facing. Going back to last season, the K's at 33.2%, really solid. That's against everybody. He's actually struck out more righties than lefties. It's close. 33.4% versus 32.5%. A few more fly balls against righties, which is not necessarily appealing. The hard hit goes up against righties. So I don't know if I'm necessarily frightened about like this, like his K's are worse in the split, but it's just he's facing a bunch of contact guys, which is kind of a problem as well. Interesting. I don't know. I don't love it, but there are some good pivots away, TJ. I'm for sure going to have some Rodon, like absolutely. But the pivots are Verlander and Screwball and Wright and Manoah. Who's your favorite amongst that group?
So this is what's annoying right now is my favorite is Alek Manoah, and I don't have him in any of my 5 lineups. I built them before the show. I feel like there's a pretty good chance they don't change. Of course, they definitely could as I watch the crunch time guys and stuff like that. But as it stands right now in these 5 lineups, I don't have Manoah, and he's actually my favorite tournament pitcher on the slate.
Is that a price thing? You just can't get all the way up there?
That's what's happening. Yeah. I really like paying up for some of these batters today. And I find myself just needing that extra $600 or $700 that gets me to Wright or Screwball.
What do you have, Tim, as far as Manoah? I like him too. A little bit concerned that the K's are down this year, but I think he's pretty much rock solid. I don't know how much I'm getting to either for the same reasons. We live in the world with a salary cap. Are you prioritizing Manoah, Tim? You're making one lineup on each site. Well, what are the odds he lands in one? I think you said Rodon for sure.
He's not going to land on in Fanduel, but he's definitely could land it if I can find some value. But I probably can on DK. So I doubt that he makes it. But if we're in that price tier, if we want to pivot off Rodon, I kind of prefer Kyle Wright. But he's going to be lower owned than Rodon and Verlander. I think he would be my kind of favorite pivot, I guess, if you want to call it that. So, but yeah, I mean, Rodon and Verlander are going to be the highest owned. That is probably going to be Skubal. And then you have Wright and Manoah. So if you're making tournament teams tonight on DK, you could totally just rotate those 5 through and make a few different combinations of those 5 guys. And I think that that's a really good strategy.
This is something that is like, this is definitely, don't get me wrong, a hot take. This is not when I'm telling everybody to do, but this is just me personally. If I was running 150 today, I got 8 pitchers in my pool, and I think I'd actually not be having Verlander or Rodon in those 150, in those 8 pitcher player pool. I'd fade those 2 just because of ownership, and I don't like either of their matchups.
And I'm just playing devil's advocate on TJ's point. I'm not saying that he's wrong. I'm not saying that you can't listen to him, but Rodon actually has positive leverage in our slate IQ, which is an important thing to remember when you're making a lot of teams. You know, I mean, we have him at 34% owned, and he's going to be in the winning line at 47% of the time. So that's it's not a negatively leveraged play to play Rodon today in a large field tournament.
And I'll definitely want to emphasize as well, I am talking FanDuel on our 1 pitcher 1. I like Rodon a bit better on DK where we can play 2, and he's more expensive, so he's not going to pick up quite as much ownership. And yeah, I like, there's just more ways to get different, I find, on DK. On FanDuel, that's just my favorite way to get different today.
Did you say you're playing, you got 8 pitchers in your FanDuel pool? Is that what you said?
Yeah, so like I'm only playing 5 lineups, so I'm obviously only going to get to 5 of these 8. But even if I was running 150, I got 8 guys.
And 2 of those guys, none of them are named Rodon and Verlander. So
Correct.
I'm curious, is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's play the game, Tim. Let's play the feud. Sure, why not? So you're going to have a Noah in your 8, right?
Yeah.
Okay. We can bounce back and forth, Tim. Let's do that. I got Manoah.
He's got Skubal.
Yeah, of course. Right. Confirm.
Yeah.
I think Jose Quintana's in your pool.
He is not. That's another
great.
player that I think is just picking up a little bit too much ownership than he should be. However, even like he's kind of in a mishmash of guys that are just okay. Maybe they're optimal 5% of the time, but he's picking up more ownership than all the other guys I like that are 1-ish%. So if I truly were running 150, I'd maybe consider sprinkling him into it too, but there's some cheaper guys I like equally as him.
Yeah, bad. I mean, I should have taken the low-hanging fruit. That is, well, I guess Tim will take it. Who else you got there, Tim, as far as who's in TJ's pool?
Kyle Wright.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the low. Should we explain Wright, by the way? Let's sort of talk about that, TJ. He is pretty expensive. What a world. This is a guy I feel like we used to pick on. You know, obviously he was a big time prospect at one point, just kind of scuffled out the gate, took him a while to figure it out. And now he's facing an Oakland team that's not very good. They're really cheap on DK. Like they can help you get stuff done if you want, and if you're looking for a couple of big arms and a big stack, like Oakland is the team that helps you get there, or at least some big like 1-off or 2-off or 3-off pieces. But you know, they're not good. If you look at the plate IQ for this season, every single player, every single one of them is in the red as far as WOBA. They are contact heavy up top for what it's worth, like Kemp and Elvis. You know, even Lowry, you know, there's some contact there, but they swing and miss a ton in the back end with Pache and Murphy and Brown and Pinder. 22.5% collectively as far as striking out. Not a lot of power either. The only power guy this year against righties from an ISO perspective is Brown. It's a bad lineup, but you got to pay for Wright. He's fully priced. What else do you have there, TJ? As far as you know, he's the same price as essentially as Verlander, as Manoah, as Rodon. I think he's more expensive in some spots. So I guess it's the ownership play, right?
It's the ownership, but the thing with Wright too, as well, is I think he has the highest ceiling on the entire slate today. I don't think he's the safest option just because we've seen sometimes he is just off and back to his old self. And he gets knocked around a little bit. But what I love about this lineup that he's facing is he's walking 13% of left-handed batters so far this year. And there's only 3 of them in the lineup, and they're spread out throughout the lineup. So he's always going to be facing at least one righty before facing another righty and before facing another lefty. And he's always been better at striking out right-handed batters in his career, but that's all the way up to 31.4% this year versus 23.5% for the left-handed batters. Not only that, but he also has been getting ground balls at a 61% clip this year and against right-handed batters. And so even if he walks those lefties, which I kind of hope he does for a guy like Seth Brown, when you got Murphy and Pache right behind you who strike out a ton, and he's got that crazy ground ball ability, I love the potential to get out of any jam. So I think Wright has the highest upside on the entire slate today. I think he's got the top ceiling. I like Manoah a bit better for safety, but yeah, I think Wright's got the highest ceiling on the slate.
Kyle Wright's also done some tangible things with his stuff. Like he's got career high velocity this year. He seems to have cut out a couple of pitches and added a couple of pitches. So his pitch mixes are different. So there might be some real, because I mean, like Dean said, this guy was highly touted, then he completely was terrible the first couple seasons. So maybe this added velocity, this different pitch mix has, made him, a stud. So, I mean, I think he makes for a great play in any format tonight.
But on that same point, like Skubal, same deal. Like Skubal was a guy we were happy to attack, when he first sort of debuted, and he came with a ton of promise, a big time prospect. And now he's figuring it out, like same sort of thought process. Again, he's now really expensive, but he's got a good matchup against Pittsburgh, a good ballpark to pitch in. There's strikeouts in this lineup, which is nice to see.
Are you saying that DerekCarty is right, that people don't just come in as rookies and light the world on fire and they take a while to figure it out?
Well, he was wrong about Tatis. So I love when people point out the outliers. Like, of course, there's going to be outliers all the time. Like Tatis was awesome. I think Acuna was pretty good coming in.
Sometimes Hall of Famers happen.
Yeah. Like so as a generalization, if you want to be math right, like more times than not, like people are probably going to be expecting to, like there's more Cavan Biggios than there is Fernando Tatises. To bring it back to your Blue Jays. Biggio ain't it, right? It's not happening. It's over.
Yeah, I'm disappointed about it. I thought like he was getting touted the same way as Bo and Vlad were, and he just fell right off. And his thing kind of always used to be he wouldn't swing at anything outside of the zone, and when he'd make contact, it would have a lot of power. So he'd only bat like 220, but his on base would be like 350, and he'd have a good number of homers, and that's just kind of disappeared. So I hope he figures it back out, but I'm not feeling too good about it.
Like Espinal's dethroned him, it seems, at this point.
Big time. Espinal's better defensively too, and he's become a much better hitter.
Was he just touted with those guys because they're all like sons of former really good players that they kind of a package deal, or was he? I don't remember like as far as draft wise and all that, but like it's easy to write a story like all these guys, and I think even Jeff Conine's kid, I'm pretty sure, is in the Toronto organization. He's not considered to be as good, but.
That was like definitely part of it, but they also all came up at the exact same time together, and he was producing in the minors and then early on his career, so it had some backing to it as well. But yeah, there was definitely a little bit of the hype machine.
You like Skubal? You like Skubal or Wright tonight? You got to pick one of those two.
Right.
Okay, and is that like just raw points and everything, or you're factoring all the goods in?
Yeah. Both.
All right.
I would agree with that too. I would rather have Wright than Skubal.
And I think I'm checking out our ownership stuff now. I think Wright is well, let me go ahead and confirm before I even say what's the point. It's right here, right at 20% on DK, Skubal at 20. Well, they're the same essentially, decimal points. So salary cap reasons, I think a couple of the cheapies that we're looking at tonight, and this works for both Fanduel and on DK, TJ, but we'll complete the game. Sure, why not? The cheapies we're looking at, I believe, are Garrett Woodlock against the Angels, who've not won since 1972 or so, and they did fire their manager. Joe Madden is out of a job.
Why the heck isn't anybody playing them?
Whitlock? Because, well, for his Ks are down. He had 0 cases last time out, for what it's worth, which is, I'm not saying that that's, predictive, but, he's pretty. I think Bradish is kind of interesting as well. Again, basically the same price as Whitlock, but Whitlock, is the better math play, but ownership wise. And then Springs, I guess, is the other one. But I don't know how much I want to pick on that St. Louis team, but the way they've raked this year versus lefties, right? So
yeah, Springs is a big no for me. My pool of 8 on FanDuel Manoah, Wright, Skubal, Darvish, Whitlock, Bradish, Mitch White, Cole Sands.
I'm out on Darvish. There you go. You want the mush play today? No Darvish for me. Nope, not happening. Tell me
Out
why
of
you
that
like
list,
Darvish. What?
more just because there's some lineups I like that I need a low 9K pitcher for, and he's got a really long leash, and so he could just put up a solid score. Out of that list, Darvish and Bradish are going to be the ones that they're going to be 1 to 5%ers for me.
Yeah, Darvish.
They're not. They do not make the cut of my list of 5 teams. Those are the 2 guys who are out in my list of 5 teams.
Yeah,
but they'd be in if I was running 150.
Darvish less than 20% Ks this year, which is just. I mean, he's starting to get old, man, and he's got a lot of innings on that arm. Like he's an old, like 35, 36. When he was in Japan, I think they pitched him a ton. Yeah, 20% as far as those Ks, and I think it even like the swinging strike rate is pretty terrible too.
Yeah, that's like, it's not that I really like the play. It's just on FanDuel, he's the best pitcher in that price range. So it's more about the different lineups I can get to with him. Especially since I'm not playing Rodon for $800 more. And you mentioned like the amount of innings on his arm, but that's kind of the reason that I'm still interested in him is 7.2 last game, 6.2 the game before, 7, 5.2, 7, 6, 6, 6.2. So like, he's a guy that he doesn't have a pitch count in comparison to any of these other guys on the slate. So like, that's why I like getting to him, is if at just tiny doses, is he's in a tier by himself, and like for that pricing range, and then he's got the pitch counts as well.
I just think like he's like, it's his name recognition that's keeping him at 9-1 on FanDuel and 8-9 on DK. He doesn't strike anybody out. He's facing a Met team that's good and they don't strike out. But you are right. As far as the projections, I put up Carty's to bat, like 97 pitches, which is just below Verlander at 98 projected and Rodon at 102. Tim, break the tie here as far as Darvish. And I understand what TJ is saying. He's talking about there's guys that are 10K and there's guys that are 7K, but that 9K range just is not great. In my opinion.
I also don't think we have to spend too much time talking about a guy that I'm saying you could play in 1 to 5% of 150 lineups.
Fair enough.
Yeah, so, I mean,
I don't want to make it sound like I'm loving Darvish today for the people watching.
That's what I'm hearing. I heard lock button, and the chat saying lock button because I said mush. So there you go.
Yeah, definitely not lock button. But I'm closer to Dean on this one. But if you're gonna have 1 to 5% of him in a 150 build, that's completely fine. I do think Darvish is an actual real decline, but he does have a leash, so that's fine if you want to do a little pinch of him. But I wouldn't get too carried away with him.
What do you think of the cheapies, Tim? This works on FanDuel, works on DK as well for both of them. Do you have a preference amongst? Well, Springs, I think, is cheaper on DK. He's 8-7 on FanDuel, and unlikely he goes 6. I don't think. Again, Bradish is like, we've seen some good moments from him and some bad moments, and he's been a little bit unlucky too. If you dig in under the hood, the ERA is obviously pretty gross. Yeah, as far as the cheapies, your favorite cheap pitcher tonight is who?
So this is what I was trying to allude to at the beginning of the show, is that this is the part that makes this slate, I think, super difficult, because I really don't want to pitch Quintana or Jeffrey Springs. So, I mean, I think this is a horrible matchup for Springs against that right-handed heavy Cardinals team. I know that he's super, super cheap on DK, but I think that's a very, very risky play. And I know that Carty's projection system likes Springs. I know that it likes Quintana. But I mean, if I was making tournament teams tonight, I'd be making some Tiger stacks, or at least some secondary stacks of them, because I think Quintana is going to get some ownership. And I'm not crazy about pitching either one of them in single entry formats. However, you kind of have to, because there's all these expensive bats that you want. So I guess Quintana would be my favorite, but I don't have a lot of conviction behind that. It's like, I don't want people to say that, that I'm saying that you have to do that. I really want to double pay up. But it's going to be tough to do that.
Is that a natural inclination for you? Because it is for me on DK. Like, general rules, like generally speaking, arms are more predictable than bats. I can figure the bats out, but give me the 2 like rock solid pitchers. Of course, it doesn't always work out that way. That's my general way I attack. And I'll try to make it work tonight, but you're right. It's trickier than normal to make that work.
If I'm really, making a sizable part of my, daily risk in cash game format, then yes. But honestly, usually most of my money goes towards single entry GPPs, and I want home runs. I don't always have to do double pay up. You know what I mean? So, but
Yeah.
it's definitely my natural inclination if you're playing double ups or cash games. And yes, I mean, you want the security in pitching. Absolutely. It's just the problem I have tonight is that it's just, there's just doesn't seem to be a lot of like cheap bats that I really want to get to.
So
Tim,
I
go ahead,
feel
TJ.
like I do feel quite a bit of conviction today in terms of pitching, not so much on hitting, but quite a bit in pitching. And the things that are dictating that really are ownership today. And so while my favorite fade on Fanduel was Rodon, he wouldn't be my favorite fade on DK. To me, that's Verlander's going too highly owned, Quintana's going too highly owned, and Springs is going too highly owned. Those would be the three guys that I'd be out on the most. Even in my single entry team, though, if I'm going tournaments trying to win first place, I wouldn't be playing Rodon there. I'd be going to Wright or Scooball as my pay up, trying to get them both. But if I can't, your SB2 on DK is, I think, the best is the best opportunity to get different than the field today without getting worse than them. I think Garrett Woodlock, Kyle Bradish, Cole Sands, even Mitch White, I think those are guys you go to as your SP2 as opposed to Jeffrey Springs or Jose Quintana. And I think that is a really, really strong way to get ahead of the field.
Oh man, Bradish is 5-1 on DK. He might be.
And Bradish is probably my favorite of the bunch on DK.
I think he's mine too. And I'm realizing that like I did not rank him, and I probably should because I did not factor in that price. And I think people are going to be rostering Cubs as well to some degree. I did run some optimals. I was curious what it's spitting out at me, and it is telling me to, they're telling you to pay up for Verlander and Rodon, and then Quintana is kind of creeping in there, and Springs is kind of creeping in there, and then there's some Scooball. There's a pinch of Darvish just for you. It did actually crack it. Yeah. So yeah, I kind of agree with that as well. And Tim, if you can't go double barrel on DK, do you go all the way down to Bradish? Do you stop at a Quintana?
Stopping it. I'm stopping at Quintana. I get it. Fine. If you want to make multiple teams to go to Bradish, but there's no way I'm going to do that.
Yeah, man. It's tough. It's tricky.
And honestly, I don't think I would pitch Garrett Woodlock tonight. I would have to disagree with TJ on that. I think he's got some serious leash concerns, and I mean, I kind of disagree with him being part of the pool.
Well, tell me why.
What is a low stakes bet we can have today about DK points straight up, Garrett Whitlock and Jose Quintana?
That's a good one.
I mean, we could think of something.
Well, the chat give us some ideas.
Yeah,
chat throw some ideas.
We gotta be a little more combative. We can't always agree. That's not fun. We gotta.
No, I know. I mean, it's all good. It's all good.
This is a polite disagree that we're gonna put something a little fun on. So yeah. I like it.
But
Canadian of you to put it that way.
But TJ and I do agree on Jeffrey Springs, though. I mean, I really think that's a bad spot for him.
Carty's going to be on a bit. Of course, I'll give his takes, and a lot of them come from the bat. I don't want to give away the entire thing. Get yourself the bat from DerekCarty. Support Carty. But you were talking about pitch count concerns, and Carty's got Bradish at around 80, which is, you don't necessarily need it. Cost per pitch, right? He's pretty cheap. And we were also talking about the dude for Boston, 71 pitches. Like, yeah.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't like that at all.
I mean, there's a ceiling of 89. So like, obviously 71, that's not, the end all be all, that's not the exact number, but and new manager, Madden's gone. Who knows? It's Phil Nevin, I believe, is the interim manager, former power hitter for the Padres back in the day. And his kid's in the league. Isn't his kid like on Cleveland or something? Or is his nephew? I think
no, isn't it Baltimore?
Is it Baltimore? Yeah, I think it is Baltimore.
I think it's Baltimore.
Wow. I have to play on DraftKings today.
Why? What's going on? What'd you discover?
I discovered the team. So If it's me, if I'm playing a tournament team today on DraftKings, I am paying up double for pitching, and it's Kyle Wright now with Manoah. And my favorite stack to do that with, I think, is going to be the Braves. The Braves, you can get Olsen and Albies and Swanson. All these guys are below 5K. Then you have some guys like Duval you can mix in for cheap. He's been hitting the ball later lately. And there's some good cheap one-offs today. You got at the third base position, you got Alvarez batting 2100, batting 7th. You got Gavin Sheets in the outfield eligible 2400. Yeah, I like me some Braves, and I think the pay up way I do that today would be with Wright and Manoah.
Who's Alvarez? It's obviously not Jordan. Which Alvarez are you talking about?
Young guy, young rookie batting 7th for the Dodgers.
Okay. I don't think I know who Eddie Alvarez is.
I don't either, but he had 9.2 points in his first start, and he's starting again. So here
let's see.
He's on the Dodgers.
I'll give a search and see who this person may or may not be. Who he is, and then we'll see if he's a bit of a prospect or anything like that. But maybe there's a chance. I was thinking like pinch hit risk. Oh, he's a switch hitter, so I assume he's probably going to stick around the entire game. Is that Dodger lineup standard?
Are you sure he's a switch hitter?
At least according to our lineups page.
That's what FanDuel says as well.
Okay.
But Fangraph says, okay, he's 32 years old, by the way, which is the first thing that's
wow.
Yeah, I would have taken the under on. Hey, who is Eddie Alvarez? Is this like a career minor leaguer? He is a career minor leaguer. White Sox in 2014, like single A, double A, triple A. Marlins. He had a cup of coffee with the Marlins in 2020. Played, had 41 at bats. How is this guy? Is this because like Pilar got hurt? Is that what's going on? Like they're down to another.
They're running a lot of injuries right now. So he's not good, but he's a minimum price batter on the Dodgers.
I don't think this person's very good but he, as we like to say, he's been professionally trained to use that piece of wood in his hand, and he'll swing 3 or 4 times. And tough matchup against Kopech.
Maybe he gets hit.
So we're hoping for a hit by pitch. That's what we're rooting for.
It's 2K, and it gets me a beautiful full Brave stack with my 2 favorite pitchers. So I don't hate it, but I mean, you can just, if you can get the extra money, there's other punts you could go about it with too.
There's got to be other like 2K. I know that it's tough. Like, let me go ahead. You go to the lineups page, you can sort of scroll and say anybody 2.5K or less. Who's popping up that's like 2.5 or less? Some of the Pirates.
Play some Montero against Rodon at third base.
Jason Hayward, no chance in the year 2022. He's
like your best projected punt will be Matt Duffy leading, as long as he's still leading off. But again, I think this is one we don't have to spend too long of a random punt at third base for a dummy lineup. I
is 2-4 for your Blue Jay stack. Zimmerman 2-2. Not Zimmer, And
so there's ways to get it done, but I think a double pay up with the Braves is my favorite single entry on strategy on DK today.
Mazzara, lefty comes in, he probably gets the hook, but Nomar is still 2K against Taiwan Walker, who's been crazy lucky this year and is due for the regression monster to visit. So you probably get 3 at bats out of Mazzara. I don't hate that, but all right. Give me the summary, Tim. How are we handling pitchers? I'm still not settled. I think I'm going to make my lineups like whatever pitchers fit that I like. I mean, obviously I'm just, I'm going to make my lineups on the assumption that I'm paying up for pitchers, that kind of thing. But I don't really know.
I think specifically because of that reason, I think that is how everybody feels today, because that's what the projections dictate how we should be feeling. But all the ownership is going to the guys that are projected for like 1 point more than the others or half a point more than the others. And so I think because of that, that's why we can go way off the board today.
I see producer Devin in chat says Star Wars is greater than Star Trek, in my opinion. Deal with it, Dean. Like, I have no opinion. I'm not a Trekkie. I don't speak Klingon.
That's Blender. Blender's the Trekkie.
Well, yeah, but that's not me. That's not. Can he speak the Klingon?
I don't think he speaks the Klingon, but Blender's the Trekkie.
But it's just so weird. Like, why would he's like throwing that in my face? Deal with it. Like, okay, that's fine. I don't have a take. I have a lot of takes. Not in that one. Tim, you got to take Star Wars versus Star Trek. Do you care about other?
Never seen either one.
Yeah, I mean, I could pick like Spock out of a lineup, but that's about as close as I can get.
That's about it for me.
TJ, you probably have like you can go like on a half-hour rant as far as the take on that. Do you have like a 30-second take on it?
For me, it's Star Wars, but to each their own. They're both full of many fun mysteries and excitement and adventures. So if you like one better than the other, I have no issue with it. I'm by far a Star Wars guy though.
Yeah, it's just really weird that people get angry about, just enjoy what you enjoy and let other people enjoy. They enjoy it. It's cool. It's all right. We don't have.
It's probably whichever one connected to you as a kid and was put in front of your face more.
Well, yeah, that's also like sports fandom as well.
Yeah.
I imagine somebody threw you in front of a television when you're younger and say, "Here's the Blue Jays. Root for this team. They're from Canada."
Yeah, my grandpa always used to go to the spring training games, so we had a bunch of like Blue Jays spring training baseballs from home runs and foul balls that he used to give to me, and so we'd go watch the games at his place.
Yeah, your grandpa was a huge Joe Carter fan. Loved Dave Steeb.
Yeah, and I grew up watching Carlos Delgado first, then Vernon Wells and Roy Halladay, and that was my squad.
Did you know Vernon Wells qualified for a live final in DFS like 8 years ago?
I did not. That's really cool.
That's a random fun fact for you. Yeah, he was at a DK live final in Vegas like 7 or 8 years ago. Yeah, just there you go. You learn something every single day. I don't know if he's still playing these days. I couldn't tell you. I think Kurt Schilling played hockey DFS. He was apparently in the art.
Yeah, he does.
Does he still do that?
Well, I didn't see him this year, but in the last couple of years he has. Yes.
All right. Tim, did you? I might have cut you off. I know I threw it to you to give a summary and pictures. Maybe you gave it. Maybe you did not. Did you give that summary?
So Rodon's my guy for FanDuel. DK, I'm going to attempt Rodon Verlander. If that's really not going to happen, I guess I'm going to go Quintana. But I really don't want to do that either. So I think it's that kind of combination of 3 on DK if you're looking for like a cash game, single entry type format.
Go ahead.
If you're running I know you're only running the one lineup. If you do manage to hit the Rodon and Verlander pairing in just one small entry fee tournaments of one of those lineups, you should just switch it to switch it to Manoah and Wright, so we can add another bet to it.
Oh, we haven't got that yet. What's the stipulation? Has the chat helped us out here? Tell us what these gentlemen should be betting on, within reason.
I'm in a betting mood today.
I will say though, like I'm trying to build a team like with double paying up on DK, and the Padres actually have some really cheap pieces that you could use as just like a secondary stack or just a couple cheap one-offs like Voit, Mazzara, Grisham, and Nola. They're all under 3K. So I know the Padres are not they're really missing Tatis. I know that, but Tawan Walker has like a 12% K rate or something like that. So, balls will be put in play by the Padres today, and they're extremely, extremely cheap. So I think that's a team that you can look to as a stack if you're looking to double pay up.
Walker with a 2.88 ERA this season, on the surface looks good, but the xERA 4.38, the xFIP 4.5, the Sierra 4.93. He's the home run, the fly ball is less than 5%.
His underlying metrics are terrible. So yes. I mean, he is due. For some regression. If it's going to come tonight, I don't know, but I think the Padres are a really good stack if you're going to double pay up tonight.
All right. And TJ, I know you talked about it throughout several times, but like we have people sprinkling it on through, people don't necessarily start and fire the show up at 5 o'clock. So you might feel like you're repeating yourself, but give me the summary as far as the arms. And do you want to say hello to chat? We haven't officially, have we said hello? Hit that like button, subscribe, turn on those notifications. Spidey Bomb is lurking. What are we at, TJ, as far as
perfect timing for a recap there, Dean, because I was literally just looking at that and thinking the same. And we got 43 likes right now, so we're 7 away from our first bomb. But it's might as well time to we can recap that as well, just because we got 250 plus people watching now. We only had 100 at the start of the show. So on GrindersLive, as more and more people come in, hit the like button. It's the only way we can keep getting free content. Is if we get lots of those likes on YouTube. So hit that, and we're going to give a new Spidey Bomb every 50 likes, and they're going to get more and more sneaky. the more likes we get. So we got the first one coming at 50, next one at 100, next one at 150, etc.
Does Spidey ever give pitching takes, by the way? Does he only focuses on hitters?
Yeah, he only focuses on hitters because I got the pitching takes. And
Fair
so
enough.
what they are today is on FanDuel, my favorite fade in tournaments is Carlos Rodon. He's in a great spot. He's a great pitcher, but he is picking up triple the ownership as all the other top options, and they're all in just as good of spots. So for me, Carlos Rodon is the big fade on FanDuel. I love Kyle Wright, Alek Manoah, Tariq Skubal. And then I'm going to take some shots on Garrett Whitlock, Mitch White, and Cole Sands even in large fields. And then on DK, I like the double payoff option best, and I like doing that with Wright and Manoah. Skubal is my third favorite option for tournaments. And then if I'm not getting to those three, I'm going to look to pay down with either Whitlock, but because there are a lot of cheaper options, he's probably be one of the first ones I'd cross off. And I would look to somebody like Kyle Bradish next as my favorite SP2 option way down low.
All right, let's talk about the stacks before we go around the horn, give our favorite plays at each position. I think I saw Andre in chat. I believe Andre is going to be on later with Carty. Is that correct? Carty is not going to be a la carte just by himself with a chief meteorologist, Kevin Roth, but I think it's Andre coming in. Yeah, Andre will be coming in around 25 after or so. Roth will tell you what's going on weather-wise. Carty will tell you what's going on with the bat. Tim, tell me this. As far as the stacks today, we kind of sort of talk about them as we're talking about the pitchers, and now let's focus on the sticks exclusively. I'm pulling out our expert rankings, our consensus rankings as far as stacks, and kind of surprising that it's across the board. Atlanta's number one. And I'm partially guilty. I see Kirk D's in there lurking in the chat as well. He put him number one. SDL Cardinals put Atlanta number one. I have number one. Grant's got him number one. Then you got TJ's Blue Jays second. Then the Yankees. Then it sort of, gets a little goofy. Boston, Houston, Baltimore got a little bit of love, which is a little bit surprising. And then the Cubs as well. But what say you? Do you agree with those rankings? Is there one team that clearly stands out amongst the rest for you?
Well, I would say there is not one team that stands out tremendously over another tonight. I don't mind ranking Atlanta as number one. I'd probably put Boston number two. Then Houston, Toronto, Chicago. And the other thing is the Cubs, there might be weather in that game. So make sure to, I think Roth had that as orange.
Oh,
so
did he update it? Is it changed? Is that what's happened?
I don't know.
The Cubs in Baltimore is yellow green.
Oh, is it yellow green? Okay, good. All right. I think he must have updated that then.
That is something while we're talking about weather, I want to mention though, just because that's what I love about GrindersLive is we kind of have so much time to take people behind the curtain and let them through our thought process. As we've been talking, I've looked at this, and regarding the Padres, Tim was talking about liking a lot for how cheap they are on DK. We have a big 126 game sample size on Roth's Weather Edge of a 21% home run increase in the Met Stadium today. So I definitely think that makes that call even more interesting, and it makes a shot on Darvish less interesting. But then looking at the weather report that Roth has too, and this is something we won't, he'll touch on more in crunch time, but there's a line of storms headed to Pittsburgh around first pitch or early in the game. If we get a delay before the game, that would be fine. And that means Skubal and Quintana, you're fine to play them. If that game starts on time, you may not want to be playing those two in cash, because there's a good chance that if that game starts on time, then they're going to have a early delay before they start up again. Now, who knows? That could be a quick one. Pitchers could be fine, but it also could be a long one. So keep that one in mind when you're building your lineups as well. If you're going all in on one lineup, maybe you may not want Quintana unless that game starts in a delay.
And I would just guess that Detroit would, they're going nowhere. They're one of the worst teams in the league. Skubal's well a part of their future. There's no reason, like kid gloves, if there's a long delay, I would guess he's not coming back out. But you would hope that the ballpark, assuming the situation is as you laid it out, and of course Roth is going to speak to this in about 35 minutes or so and give more clarity. But if they do start the game on time and set themselves up to get in a position where there's likely to be a delay, Yeah, that could be a little bit dicey. And do you agree with that thought process, Tim? Because I feel like some pitchers, like a veteran, whatever, is just okay. An hour and a half delay, they'll still throw him out there. But Scooball, I don't know if they bring him back out there. What's the upside?
Yeah, I mean, I think that definitely is worth considering. If Roth doesn't, if the weather doesn't work out, then I would just completely get off of Scooball. Like there are too many good high-end options to be messing around with weather tonight. So it's not like you really have to have Scooball.
Agreed there. And something else I want to mention too is there's a lot of people in chat right now going, "Oh no, Braves chalk, Braves chalk." That's
No way.
It's not.
No.
It's not
No.
Braves chalk. Like if you want to go in lineup HQ right now, sort by team smash percentage, click ownership percentage. Yeah, they have the highest team ownership percentage at 7.6%. It's a huge slate. The only chalk today is at pitching. You don't have to worry about that today if you're hitting. Like if you want to sort by, like you have a team like the Yankees, their smash percentage is smaller than their ownership percentage. So you want to look at that, and maybe that's the team you look to fade today. But there's no chalk at offenses today. You don't got to worry about that.
Tonight is such a good night if you're making multiple teams to spread out an offense. Like you don't have to, there's not like a core slate, team where they're going to be 30-40%. You got to make a stand over or under. That's not the case tonight. Ownership's going to be super spread out for offenses. So you don't have to worry about that. It's going to be really easy to get overweight on teams, and you don't have to like crush your portfolio if they bust.
Atlanta is only number one because somebody's got to be number one is basically the point.
Yeah,
like,
exactly. But I mean, all those teams are bunched together, so it's like, it's not a big deal.
And that's Fanduel, by the way, where Atlanta's number one. On DK, we're seeing Toronto number one right now. And they do have some cheap guys we kind of talked about, and that's probably what's moving it to some degree. But 10.8% is the ownership there. And Atlanta is, let's see, Atlanta's about 10, 9.5. Like, play the teams you like is a sort of like, that's what we're saying here.
Basically. Yeah,
so like Toronto, Atlanta, Boston, Houston, and the Yankees. Those 5 teams are going to be your chalkiest teams today. And they're going to be like maximum 10% team ownership on any of them. So if you're wanting to get different, then yeah, you got your San Francisco Giants, your Los Angeles Dodgers, and sorry, I am speaking exclusively FanDuel, and your Phillies, other teams like that I like quite a bit in tournaments as well. But you really don't have to worry about ownership for bats today. If you play a Rodon with Atlanta and Toronto, yeah, you might have a small chance of being duped just because those are the chalkiest options of both. But like the only way you're going to have to worry about that today is if you're playing Rodon or maybe Verlander.
And the other thing I'd add about a team like Toronto, who's going to be like the highest owned, they're only going to be 10% owned, and they have a smash score of 5%. That's not horrible negative leverage. That's not like it doesn't mean that you have to fade them. So like a lot of people will see negative leverage and be like, no thanks. It's really not that big of a thing tonight. So if you want to play them, I say go for it.
I dropped the Ross weather update in chat if you guys are not aware, or if you wanted to see that for yourself, but nothing that I'm seeing to freak out about just yet. So things change. Weather is fluid. Roth will speak to that in about 25 minutes or so. And I'm also, let's have a little synergy. Let's give the people the article that Keith wrote earlier today for Scores and Odds. Scores and Odds premium product. You can get yourself a 3-day free trial, but this happens to be a free article over there on Scores and Odds. And if you're in the player props, he's got, I believe, 3 pitching player props that he likes as far as over. Nope, he's got 4. A one that's not in this slate. I'm kind of bummed. I was hoping Edward Cabrera will be on this slate for the Marlins. Looked amazing his first time out. Big time prospect against Washington today. Curious to watch and see how he does going forward. Season long tilt. You ready for it? I lost out by $1 of my fab money. Oh man, people really care about that, I'm sure. But I think I bid like 121 and somebody sniped me at 122. But hey, nobody cares about that. Let's talk about catchers. That's what people care about, Tim.
Before we roll position by position, we have hit the necessary like total for our first Spidey bomb. And in fact, we're pretty close to the second one. So like I said, these will get sneakier and sneakier as we go on here. And the very first Spidey bomb we got going is my guy, the most likely one to hit one today, Vladimir Guerrero, which is a
you were kidding
chalky
about
play
chalky
today.
here. Yeah, we're starting
Guess
to
what?
chalky.
He's 12% owned. So if
Yeah.
you want, if you're playing 3 lineups today and you want to get way ahead of the field, play him on 2 lineups, because even if you play him on 1, you're going to be triple the field. So yeah, Vladimir Guerrero is the guy today.
I'll take the over on 12% for the record. I know what
Yeah,
you're
I
saying.
think it'll probably be closer to 20,
Yeah, I know what you're saying though.
especially in like your bigger dollar stuff.
Oh, your single entry stuff, like the ownership gets pushed up. People are less ambitious. Single entry, 3 entry max. Tim, I gave you 30 seconds now. You should have a whole bunch of catchers you like, I'm sure. Throw them at me.
So the way that I'm probably going to be building my team on DK is I'll be double paying up. So you almost have to punt catcher. So I think it's going to have to be somebody like Austin Nola or Jason Castro. One of those 2 guys, I think, are your punt options. If you have money, I obviously like Wilson Contreras, JT Real Muto, Kirk for the Blue Jays. Those would be my guys, but I think if you're looking for like a cash game type build, I think you're punting catcher tonight.
I'm scrolling through and I'm trying to find like the best cheap guy to punt with, and it's
Trevino.
It's brutal. It's also bad. Is that your favorite, Trevino?
Yeah, like he's shown a ton. He's shown he's got a lot of pop recently, and so like that's a guy that he's got what? How many? 1, 2, 3 home runs in the last 2 weeks. So he's shown he's got a little bit of power. The Yankees are a good lineup. I'd probably go there. My preference though would be I'd try and get up to just 4,100 Will Smith. That'd be the route I would try and go there. This is a guy that doesn't strike out a lot. And Kopech, when he does get hit, gives up quite a bit of hard contact. So I'd try and get up to 4,100 Will Smith. But yeah, I like, if I'm choosing between the 2 chalky guys, I'm Kirk over Contreras 10 times out of 10. And I'm even William Contreras over Wilson Contreras. I would rather play the Braves Contreras than the Cubs one today. And I think you can always play Salvador Perez in tournaments.
Yeah, William is always so expensive on DK. 4-7 batting in the 7 hole. Like he's fine, and he doesn't play a ton. Darno has obviously had his moments as well, especially in cores recently.
I'm going to fill up some water quick, so you guys keep talking.
Oh, go for it. Yeah, man. I got nothing else as far as catcher. Like it's a tough position, and you're right. If you want to go double barrel, maybe just punt it off and hope for those I'll take 3 hit by pitches. I think it's probably an unlikely route to get to 6 fantasy points, but I don't know, man. Stassi's got a good price. I'll say that. Like 3.6 is a pretty good price for Stassi. We're not sure if he's going to play today, but it's just not good.
It is. If you want to double pay up, that's the problem. It's like you if you double pay up, you're gonna have to punt some spots that are gonna be kind of ugly, because there isn't that one really good value piece tonight. So yeah, I think you got a punt catcher.
So what about first base? We're getting kind of an underpriced Freddie Freeman at 4.6K. We're getting an underpriced Vlad at 4.7K. I think that's going to be the first guy people are going to want. So that's one of the reasons why I thought that ownership's going to be higher. And maybe, you know what, TJ was probably talking Fanduel perspective. That's kind of where he comes from in the shows. And maybe the ownership's higher on DK. I can check that in a second. Rizzo against, Sands was kind of mentioned, thrown out there, and it's in a really small sample. He's been a disaster so far. We're not sure if he's major league ready just yet. Voit is the punt. I think the very clear punt at 2.7K on DK. And Dahlbach is 2K on FanDuel, which I think could be useful. Plenty of power in that bat. Of course, plenty of holes in that bat as well. But, 2K, beggars and choosers. He's 3K on DK. What are your thoughts as far as first base?
I agree with everything you said. I really like Rhys Hoskins tonight. I think it's Jason Alexander who's pitching for the Brewers, and I believe he is in his late 20s, and he has bounced around the minors for a really long time, and I think he is not a very good pitcher. And they're going to be in a hitting friendly park, and I really like that price at 4,100. I think that fits kind of that, like, if you double pay up, you've got about 3,700 per bat. So I think you're going to want somebody in that kind of high 3, low 4 range, and I think Hoskins is my guy. But obviously, the argument could be said, just find the 600 for Vlad, right? Vlad's a better hitter. But I think if you can't get to Vlad, I'd get to Hoskins.
But props for you for making it referencing Jason Alexander and resisting the urge, because I know it's easy, the low hanging fruit. There's a Seinfeld reference right there if you want it. Props to you for not going with it.
I just can't do it, Dean. I just can't. It's too cheap. It's too cheap.
It is so cheap and lazy and easy. And I probably would have done it at some point. TJ, you're aware. You're old enough. You're aware of the Seinfeld, right?
Yeah, of course.
They get that. It's on Canada. You get that Netflix Canada. I'm sure it's a thing. I imagine it's worldwide.
Didn't need Netflix. I was a child and alive watching sitcoms when it was coming out weekly.
All right, there you go. But my only issue with
not that much of a baby, Dean.
I know. Well, yeah, just I'm not saying it as an insult. So what is your thought at first base? And specific to Philadelphia, I'm a little bit conflicted because I like their offense, and DK, the Hoskins price is really, really good. The Harper price is good. The Schwarber price is good. I'm a little bit concerned. And again, this is like how the game's going to go, and you have no idea, right? Milwaukee, if this game is 3-2, you're going to get a really tough bullpen, and then this game could get shortened pretty quickly. Hader coming from the left side is just tough, and you're almost losing in a bat if it's Hader versus Harper, Hader versus Schwarber. Not saying they can't hit him, but he's just so good. They have a good overall pen, and that. But if Philadelphia gets to Alexander and it's like 8-1 in the 5th inning, you don't have to worry about that. You're not going to see those guys. You're going to see the worst of the arm. So I think my thought is that all in on Philadelphia or all out on Philadelphia. So 2-part question. Your thoughts on Philadelphia? Do you agree with that thought process? And some first baseman.
Yeah, so I don't mind that thought process. Even though that kind of does make me like them as a FanDuel stack more than a DK stack, even though their prices are better on DK, just because I don't really want to stack them up bigger than 3 or 4 guys. And I just like that format a little bit better on FanDuel, but I got to admit the logic that you said there made a lot of sense. And so it kind of swayed my opinion on the mini stack there. For me at first base,
is that what you're saying?
You did. For me at first base, I think you try and get up to Vlad, and then if you can't, I just do like going cheap here. There's so many great options. You got Gavin Sheets, Luke Voigt, Yuri Gurriel. I think there's even crazier things than Albert Pujols against the lefty. Jared Walsh is too cheap, 3,800 on DK. And one of my favorite tournament options of the day actually is Matt Olson in the lefty. That's a guy that's going to be going severely under owned in that stack over there. Vlad up top on FanDuel at 4,200 is still my guy. Freddie Freeman at 37 is too cheap, but Matt Olson at 36, that is somewhere that I like. I find myself landing quite a bit as well. Outside of that, I'm mostly just like completing stacks at this position. And it's with Vlad or Kirk or Olson, something like that. That's where I keep getting to on FanDuel here.
Do you have a thought, Tim? I'm curious to get a thought as far as the Philadelphia stack. They weren't in the stack conversation, but for sure there's really stackable players, obviously.
I think you really nailed it, Dean. I think that you need to full stack them or not, because you're absolutely right. You don't want to go after that bullpen. It's a lot like the Yankees for me. I'd never like to stack against the Yankees because their bullpen's so good. So it really limits their ceilings. The same way with the Brewers. I think it's a very good point. But I will say though, I think that the Phillies do get to Alexander tonight. So I am bullish on the Phillies tonight, especially if you're making multiple teams. And I mean, I'm only making one team, and I'm heavily considering, being heavy on the Phillies on both sites. So, but from a macro perspective, you're absolutely right.
All right, TJ, get us started as far as second base. You got Albies, obviously it's going to pop to some degree. I'm good with Altuve. I presume he's going to be leading off tonight versus a reverse splitsy flexing. You got those what do they call? Well, I can't think of the name of the Crawford boxes down the left field line in Houston, which is really really short, like 315 or something like that as far as the distance away from first base. He banged one out over there last night as well off of Robbie Ray and his tight pants and his mustache. All right, what do you have as far as second base, TJ?
If you need to punt, I think there's crazier things you could do than Kemp or Mendick all the way down the bottom on DK. But to me, this position is all about Ozzie Albies as well as Santiago Espinal today. Those are my top two that I'm getting to by far. The other guys that I would kind of look to would be paying up at either Jose Altuve or the guy in tournaments that I really like, who's not picking up near as much ownership as Altuve, is Trevor Story, either as a one-off or in a Boston stack.
Story batting fifth tonight versus Suarez. Mendick leading off today for Chicago versus White. I mean, that lineup looks so much worse when Anderson's not in there, and of course they're missing Eloy as well.
Of course, you always have your hobby bias at 2,400 on FanDuel too, but
and that's a tricky one because you're supposed to like that. That's a really really cheap price, and if you're playing cash games tonight, like Baez is not traditionally like a cash game play, but I think he probably lands in your cash game lineup. I believe Scope is really cheap as well, if I'm not mistaken, on FanDuel. He's 4-1 on DK. 2-4 on FanDuel. So if you can get a really cheap stack on FanDuel actually with I think Meadows is back tonight as well. Left on left, he's 2-6 on FanDuel. Again, not the best ballpark to be attacking pitchers. Quintana's been pretty good this year, lucky for what it's worth, but this Detroit lineup more times than not is gonna scuffle. And I love Miguel Cabrera, but like 2022, I don't want to roster him these days. Like, good for him, he got his 3,000 hits, but he's just got that massive contract, and good for he earned it. But I don't want to play him in DFS these days. What do you have here? Second base, Tim.
Yeah, Altuve is my favorite. If I'm not worried about salary, it's going to be hard to fit for me. Then it would be Albies. Then it would be Cronenworth probably. I do really like the idea of, like I said earlier, like if you're making multiple teams, totally get some of the pieces of these cheap Tigers, because Quintana is going to be popular or at least somewhat popular. So if you can fit some of these Tigers, then definitely. I think, you could go down to that Eddie Alvarez guy, for real, if you absolutely have to. A lot of projection systems are going to be spitting out Athletics because they're so cheap and they're kind of considered like top value. But I think I can't get behind that, to be honest.
I can't either. I saw that and I can't do it. TJ, can you do that?
I mean, Austin Riley, Rafael Devers.
Well, wait, no, I didn't say third base. I was asking.
Sorry, I thought we transitioned. I was looking at stuff and then I transitioned and I was like, wow, this is a grosser position than I thought. And I tried to guess on what we were talking about after I finished reading, and I was wrong. But Austin,
what were you reading? Were you reading the chat? I see you talking in the chat.
I was preparing to talk about third base.
Fair enough.
And then that's all I came up with.
We were talking about briefly, some projection systems are giving you A's, and I'm not doing that. Like, I might have an A one-off just to kind of make stuff work, and I'm not happy about it. Begrudgingly, I'll click the button, but I'm not having multiple A's in my lineup. So I'm also not suddenly making 150. Are you with like playing A's to make stuff work tonight? Like a collection of them?
I understand the idea, just because when Wright has been off, he's been real off, but no, and they're outside of Oakland. They're in a way better hitting stadium, but no, I'm not getting there today. I like their other gross cheap stacks I like better, and they're either the bottom of people's lineup, they're the bottom of lineups, or on DK, a team like the Padres.
Yeah.
I'd rather get to the Padres, that are super cheap also. I'd rather get to the Rays that are super cheap. Dakota Hudson has some really bad underlying numbers. So I think that the Rays as like a 1% cheap stack is a better play than the Athletics.
It's funny, TJ, you mentioned Austin Riley and Devers. Devers left on left. Like Riley looks like a really, really strong play. And people aren't going to play Machado. Just like that's not happening. And what Machado should absolutely pummel Walker. Like we're talking about 3 batted ball events possibly, but he seems really, really well positioned. And like he's going to be 4% owned tonight. You talked about it as far as the Padres stack, and around him, Voit is super cheap. Mazzara super cheap. Cronenworth reasonable. Profar reasonable, right?
And Machado's really not that pricey.
And no, people are playing Riley and Devers ahead of him. I think probably Bregman too. Is that where we're at as far as the ownership stuff? He's gonna be like 5% or less.
Yeah, I agree with you. And there's some real, and I think there's some real interesting tournament plays at third, just in terms of you got Machado there. Not many people are going to play him. I don't think many are going to play Devers in the left on left, even though he projects well. I think Longoria is a good play that people aren't going to get to if you're stacking. On DK, you can also play Espinal over at third base. But another really interesting option on DraftKings at third base, I think, is Nolan Arenado. Like, when was the last time you saw 4,600 Nolan Arenado? That just seems.
And Springs is going to be popular.
And Springs is going to be popular. So, like, I think like a St. Louis mini stack or even a St. Louis one-off with Arenado, I think is very, very interesting today. But yeah, Austin Riley's my top guy. Devers is too. But I agree. I think there are some very, very interesting tournament options.
A couple lineups just cracked. We got the Mets. Nemo finds himself in the leadoff spot. We got Marte, Lindor, Alonso, McNeil, Escobar, Guillermo, Plummer DHing, and I don't know how to pronounce the catcher's name. Mazeka? Sure, that guy, that catcher. It's not Nito. The Brewers were getting Renfroe back tonight for Milwaukee. Batting first is Urias. Oh, Taylor's batting second. That's a jump for him. Power hitter. Yelich, McCutchen, Renfroe batting fifth, Tellez batting sixth, Caratini the catcher, Wong, and Reyes batting ninth for Milwaukee. Let's jump to third, TJ. Well, yeah, we already kind of sort of did. You knocked out your side of it. Did I ask you, Tim? I don't believe I did. I assume you liked some of the similar plays. Do you have a preference as far as your favorite?
I was really glad that he mentioned Arenado because I was going to mention him also. I think, having some Cardinals righties in your player pool is a really, really good idea. One other play that he didn't mention, I don't think he did anyways, is Matt Chapman. Again, I think you're going to have to live in that kind of sub 4K world if you want 2 expensive pitchers. So at 3,800, I think he is playable in all formats. I think that's about covers it, to be honest with you.
I agree there. I forgot to mention Chapman. That's somebody I have in one of my 5 lineups on Fanduel right now. And we're only about, I think, 7 likes away from another Spidey bomb here. We got over 350 people watching. So for those who weren't here with us before, hit the like button so we can keep bringing you free content. And we're 7 likes away from one Spidey bomb and 57 likes away from another one. And our first one was the obvious Vlad Guerrero, and we're getting sneakier from here.
And, Kim for the Padres is cheap on both sites. I don't know what position he's hitting, but I believe he's in the lineup. I think he might be hitting 7th, but I think he can, he can fit in your Padres stacks.
And somebody asked as well in just because we do have some more new people rolling in, who is my favorite GPP pitcher on FanDuel today. It's Alek Manoah, but it's also really hard to get up to him. So if you can't get up to him, it's Cal Wright.
About 5-ish minutes or so, we got Chief Meteorologist Kevin Roth, we got DerekCarty, we got André jumping in, taking you guys home as far as crunch time, taking you guys all the way up to lock. You'll see Roth reading off questions and you're running where he's getting those questions from. That's in the Rotogrinders premium chat, rotogrinders.com/Discord. And you go into the crunch time chat if you guys are premium members. If there's time, like if you're wondering why, I'm just saying, if you're wondering why your questions are being ignored in the YouTube chats, like I'm asking questions and nobody's acknowledging them, we want to, get the members to knock out their questions before, if there's time. The Roth is happy to get those questions as well. But I've seen people like, well, why is my question not getting answered? That will be the reason why it's not answered. Now we got to speed things up a little bit, I think, because we got to knock out some shortstops, give some outfielders for the people before we make way for the crunch time crew. They're going to do the same deal all over again in a more condensed version. Your favorite shortstops, Tim, who do you like tonight?
Bobichette, Swanson, I mean, I just can't get to Trey Turner, even though he's probably, you know, he's a great play always. Javier Baez on both sites. I really don't mind Trevor Story on FanDuel. You can play Kim on FanDuel also if you need a punt. And I think that's the only people I'm really considering.
See Donnie in chat saying thoughts on playing guys in their first game back, like Tyler O'Neill in a one-off, saying I'm fine. Like if they're playing, I assume they're fine and good to go. Do you agree with that thought process, TJ?
Yes, I did. Yeah.
Yeah. Like Renfro, I'll play Renfro too. Like if I like Renfro, whatever. I'm not going to say, well, it's his first game back, I got to see it. I think it gets to like baseballs. We'll see.
And I mean, that's like Milwaukee and St. Louis are two perfect examples of teams that not many people are going to be on today and that have high upside. So like if there's something you like, roll with it and don't worry about ownership for offense. We did hit the like amount for another Spidey Bomb. Spidey Bomb number 2 is Matt Olson, lefty matchup. Nobody's playing him. I love playing Atlanta today. And play some Matt Olson in your Atlanta stacks because he's probably the guy who's going to be left out due to that left on left matchup. I like all the same shortstops as Tim. Swanson's my top guy. Bichette's number 2. Trey Turner's number 3. I get the Baez pay down, but that's not for me. I like paying up for Trevor Story on FanDuel. And somebody, if I'm getting to a Houston stack, which is kind of like a mid-tier stack for me, they're not my top 5, but I think they're fine. Somebody I like in a Houston stack to get a little bit different now that he's seen a nice price decrease on FanDuel is Jeremy Pina. He's still batting 7th, but this is a guy that Pina used to be 3,700, 3,800. I know I mispronounced it the first time. I fixed it, Dean.
I was laughing at a comment in chat. Gary says, and I'm not watching the video, but he says, who's the dude in the bottom left that thinks he knows everything and is cooler than everyone? Which one of that is that? Who thinks they know everything and is cooler than everybody else? Who's most likely to be that guy? I don't know.
We do know everything and we are cooler than everyone else. So that's not thinking, that's knowing. Pena's seen like almost the 1K price decrease on FanDuel in the last couple of weeks. So that's somebody I don't mind going to as well.
And shout out to Dusty Baker for moving Tucker up from the 6th spot to the 5 spot. Respect. I've been asking for that. You can play left on left there, but you can bury Gurriel. It's okay. All right. Some outfielders tonight. TJ, give me some of your favorite outfielders.
All right. So some of my favorite outfielders today. Top 1 is Ronald Acuna. If I'm placing one guy in there for cash first, that's who it's going to be. Second up top is probably going to be Aaron Judge. And then I don't mind going to guys like Kyle Schwarber in the mid tier, Shohei Ohtani 3,900, Cedric Mullins 3,100. Those are all guys that I'm kind of interested in on FanDuel. Alvarez, Harper, anybody who's like all these pay up guys are bets. Like they're all great on FanDuel, but my favorite one of the bunch is going to be Ronald Acuna. If I'm getting cheap, my favorite cheap option is a 2,800 Teoscar Hernandez. We got guys like the Tapian Zimmer and Joey Gallo popping in projections a little bit, but I think I'd rather go to a guy like Teoscar Hernandez or even somebody like Andrew McCutchen at 2,700. So that's those are kind of most of the guys that I like on FanDuel. On DK, you have a few different guys who are really, really cheap that I think you can get to. You got Gavin Sheets, who's outfield eligible at 2,400. I think that's a pretty solid play. Ian Happ is somebody who's popping a little bit, but that's not somebody that I'm going to be getting to. And yeah, other than that, it's mostly just the same guys on FanDuel other than Gavin Sheets.
My favorite dollar for dollar play on both sites might be your, at least on DK, like Mullins at 4.2 is a nice discount. I don't know if I like the Baltimore stack as a whole, but I like him as an a la carte piece if nothing else. And it turns out, by the way, I'm the guy in the bottom left. I know it all. I think I'm cooler than the rest of the world, apparently, which is not true. Confirmed, not cool. Tim, what do you have as far as outfielders?
Yeah, Teoscar Hernandez on FanDuel is going to be my first guy in, really, after Rodon. He's far too cheap, so he should be a cash game staple across the board on FanDuel. I did want to mention real quick, I know he doesn't have a great lineup spot tonight, but Christian Arroyo for the Red Sox, he has 3 positions eligible on FanDuel, and he is min price. So he could end up being something valuable If you're trying to like squeeze in, 4 expensive bats and an expensive pitcher on FanDuel, just food for thought. Acuna is probably the top raw point bat tonight. I do love the Phillies. I want to get to Schwarber most likely. I'm probably going to try to stack like a Phillies Padres stack on DK. That's probably what I'm going to try to do. So he would obviously be a part of that team.
Detroit, Pittsburgh officially yellow orange. I'm not sure if Roth updated that. Again, he'll be in just a few minutes and give some clarity on that. Dropped it in chat for the people. Do want to give some love to y'all and tell the people to follow you on the old Twitter, because I don't do this enough. And I feel like I should mention this at the top. And as we're stepping aside and making way for the Crunch Time crew, follow Tim at Tasteful Tides. Follow TJ at TJ_Zwarich5. Was 4 taken? What's the origin story of the 5?
I made my Twitter account when I was in like grade 9, I think 9th grade. And that was my basketball number. So
I know you gave some homer, or Spider-Man gave some homers earlier. Do you happen to have any of your own? And who's going to be hitting out some homers tonight?
no, I don't. I'm the pitching guru. It's Spider-Man who knows all about home runs.
Do you want to predict? All right. Tim, how about yourself? Do you have a couple homers for the people as we step aside and make way for the Crunch Time crew?
Kiki. I think he's a really good play on FanDuel tonight. So I'm going to make him my home run call.
There it is. Roth, Chief Meteorologist Kevin Roth. I presume you are with me. Are you a little tan? Are you a little toasty? I saw you earlier today. Was that like 8 o'clock in the morning? How early was that picture? I was trying to do the math because I saw like you posted like 9 hours ago. What ungodly hour were you up fishing this morning?
Yeah, I got up at 5 to drive down to Galveston, get a line wet. Yeah, I had a little bit of a stressful night, so I just wanted to relax a little bit, get some fishing in while I forecasted today.
You got trolled by somebody and you bit. I think you bit on it. You were the fish. You were the
minnow. Oh, I was. Yeah.
You bit in the line. Somebody with 0 followers, like 0 tweets is like, hey man, I'm at the game. This Toronto game's canceled.
Well, to be fair, the person didn't tag me, which is why I kind of believed it. Like I actually sought it out and I saw it and I was like, great. Here we go. But yeah, at that point in the night, I was just like, put me out of my misery, just end it. But it worked out okay, at least in that game.
Did you catch anything today? Anything of note?
I did, yes. I caught a couple keepers, Dean. Got a couple keepers. Gonna grill up some fish tonight.
All righty. Carty, André, what's going on, y'all? We should just step aside and make way for crunch time, I suppose. Is there anything? It's a big slate. You guys, we're done. We fit our quota. The people don't want any more of me. They're done with Tim. They're done with TJ. It is the start of the FanDuel crunch time with Chief Meteorologist Kevin Roth. Roth, take it over. Tell us what's going on weather-wise.
Appreciate it as always, Dino, and everybody else. Thank you for the toss. Let's talk about what we got here, because there are, as always, wonderful tournaments going on our sponsor FanDuel. That includes the FanDuel 150K Tuesday MLB Rally Contest, 30K to first, $7.77 to enter. And if you haven't signed up for the FanDuel Sportsbook, do so. New users, you bet $5, you get $200 back in free bets, regardless of if your bet wins or loses. So some good stuff, as always, going on by FanDuel. And if you're watching on the YouTube for free, it's FanDuel that makes that happen. So if you don't mind dropping us a like, we would appreciate it, because you got to like these two, a couple of the sharpest minds in the biz. One, Mr. DerekCarty. He is the creator, inventor, and CEO of the BatX Enterprises. What is up, DerekCarty?
Not much. Thank you for the intro. How's it going?
It's all right. I'm doing all right. Last night sucked. That wasn't very fun.
Yeah, I could imagine that wasn't a fun one for you.
Here's what kind of blows about it, just in general, and then we'll move on. Was the first game, was it Cincinnati, where the guy ended up getting like a complete game no-hitter because it was ended early? Did you see that?
Yeah, he won 7 innings. That was green, right? And
right.
Yeah.
So he gets the complete game no-hitter. And I'm like, all right, fine. In all fairness, I thought that the game was going to end in the 5th inning. It ended in, the 7th inning.
I mean, you can't be that precise. Like,
what sucks, Carty, is that like in the 3rd inning, there was a game-ending shower like this close in the 3rd inning. Like it could have just as easily been the 3rd inning when the game ended. It wasn't. That storm missed, so it didn't end until the 7th or 8th inning or whatever. And yeah, I got buried for it. But hey, like you said, like there's going to be more of those. And I know it sucks. It sucks for me. It sucks for you, but there's going to be more of those as the season goes on. And I'm just trying to avoid them tonight.
Yeah, I mean, people just need to have realistic expectations. They need to realize that this is probability. You're not going to be right every single time. Like sometimes the rain's going to hit in the 7th inning instead of the 5th. And that's just the way it is.
Yeah. Yeah. So unfortunate that dude happened to freaking go, be a flamethrower all night. But anyways, I'm fine. I survived the night. We got Dre as well. Always lifting my spirits when I get to see Dre. What's up, man? How are you?
Doing all right, hanging in there, trying to get some last minute bets in, doing some little research here, trying to get some home run calls.
Okay, excellent. Well, if you've got the home run calls, bring them on here. I'm sure some people will be asking for some home run picks later in the show. Guys, quick little weather talk here. I want to start in Pittsburgh. I believe we want pitchers there. Carty, is that accurate in Pittsburgh?
Yes, certainly. Probably not for cash, but for GPPs for sure.
Okay. I don't think you should play pitchers unless they announce a late start, because there is very likely a delay coming, and that delay would very likely be 5th inning or earlier.
Oh,
So yeah.
That sucks really bad. No, because I got all my bets. I have both those pitchers going with strikeouts. So
yeah, Quintana's strikeout over looked good today, but the weather when I looked this morning had me a little wary about it.
Yeah.
So that is a concern of mine. There's also like a chance of a delay in Atlanta, a couple other spots with a chance of a delay. Is Atlanta a pitcher spot for us?
That's
A little
I guess there's people have interest in Kyle Wright, but I prefer the offenses there probably.
Okay. I think stuff like that is fine. If you want it in a tournament, it's fine, whatever. There's a few other places with a chance of a delay, but the only one that I'm really watching and I'm like legitimately a little nervous about would be in Pittsburgh. I still think it's more than likely fine for bats. If you wanted to be super safe and pull your bats, that's fine. But really, if they just late start it and show a little bit of patience, it'll be fine. It's a thin little line of storms that's just moving through, just kind of at an annoying time. And that's all I've got in the weather department. Does that cover everything you guys need to know?
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
Okay, cool. Well, let's talk about what we're doing with the slate, Carty. You can either give us a general outlook or just dive into pitchers, whatever you want to do.
Let's just jump right into pitchers. There's a clear top 2 tonight, and it's Carlos Rodon and Justin Verlander. They'll be the 2 highest owned pitchers on the slate. They project the best by a lot in the bet. On DraftKings, I think in cash, you just play both of them. Like they're far enough ahead of everyone else and they project really well and they're both in really good spots. They're both really good pitchers with long leashes. Like you don't need to overthink it. You just play them. On Fanduel, where you can only play one or the other, I think it's clearly Rodon in cash games. You save 1,000 over Verlander on him and he projects a couple points better. So that's where I'm at with that. His matchup's better. He's a higher strikeout pitcher. Leash is longer at this point. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. And then you're just getting different in GPPs. And there are plenty of viable options. The guy I like the most in GPPs, when you consider ownership and everything else, ownership price, was probably Jose Quintana in Pittsburgh. He projects as the 4th best guy on the slate. He's 7.5K on DraftKings. He's 8.4 on FanDuel, not quite as good, but he projects for 5% ownership on FanDuel, 13 on DraftKings. Like he's just a really good play if we can kind of trust that weather there enough. The other guy that I like is Yu Darvish because the matchup is tough and the price is not great, but he's still a pretty good pitcher and he projects for like no ownership. So that's kind of where I'm at with pitching.
Okay. Dre, you want to talk about some of your favorite pitchers?
I'm right in the line with that. I'm only running like one lineup tonight, but I do love Carlos Rendon a lot against Colorado. Probably gonna be the pitcher I go with on my teams and try to get different with the bats. But I really do want to play, like you said, Jose Quintana. That's why the weather concerns me as well. Playing Quintana and Screwball, I love both of those guys. Quintana's a nice cheap option at 8,400. I would, if I can't get to him, I might take a chance on Garrett Woodlock a little bit, just because he's 7K and he's going against the Angels. Pretty much a high strikeout lineup for the most part, or they strike out a lot. They're also on a 12-game losing streaks, I should say. Sorry, not winning streaks. And even though they just fired their manager today, I just don't see them winning this game, and I can still see them.
I'm sorry. We got to give Carty a second here to celebrate the Joe Madden firing. He's number one on the I hate Joe Madden train for like 5 years in a row. Congratulations, Carty.
Thank you. I appreciate it. He's just so bad and overrated. Like he just is. It's about time.
Yeah.
And then he has the balls to blame it on analytics. Literally the only reason people think Joe Madden is a good manager is because he managed for those great Rays teams. And they were only great because of analytics. Like your whole career was made by it. Like have a little bit of gratitude.
Oh man, I love the saltiness. All right. Sorry, Dre, we had to let him have his moment.
But it's the truth though. So I kind of want to pick them to win tonight, but I just don't think that I can't see them beating Boston tonight, even in LA. So but I like Garrett Woodlock a lot as a cheap option. I think he's going on their own, but if he could give you like 6 or 7 strikeouts and you have like 30, maybe like last time he played the Angels, he had 36 fantasy points. I think that's fine, especially if you get to that on this slate, unless like Rodon or Verlander or Screwball has a monster strikeout game today. But I can see that happening, but I can also see Garrett being close enough where if they don't have that massive strikeout game and our fantasy game, Whitlock could be right there with them.
Yeah. Okay, great. Let's talk about some of the stacks here, Dre, and I'll let you lead off here. What are most people doing? What's the chalk? And then what else do you like?
Well, I'm playing on Fanduel tonight, so when I look at it, most of the chalk, it seems like it's going to be like on teams like Atlanta and Toronto, and obviously Houston. And I love those teams today myself. Not Atlanta as much, more so Toronto and Houston a lot. But I personally do like one team in particular that's not getting a lot of ownership, and that's the Phillies. I just think that they have a chance to really blow up Alexander today. So I might be looking to use them in my one lineup today to see what they can do today. And I do like this spot also for Baltimore. I know they have like 5% as far as team ownership. There's a lot of teams today, so we're not going to get that much high team ownership today. But I think Baltimore also has a good chance, especially with the weather, I think being pretty decently good there for hitting and against Thompson today.
Okay. Carty, favorite stacks?
Yeah, like Trey said, like it doesn't look like there's gonna be like a super high owned offense today, but the highest owned do project to be Toronto and the Cubs. And the bat really doesn't think either one is like anything special, especially the Cubs.
Mm-hmm.
The Braves, I think, will get some ownership. Boston, I think, will get some ownership. Houston will get some ownership. And I think they're all good. But I'm totally on board with the Phillies. Like the Phillies are the most underrated team in baseball right now, especially like their offense is good. Their offense has like 6 stars in it every single night. And people think this like isn't a good team or isn't a good offense. And they're facing Jason Alexander, who's really not good. Who strikes out nobody. Go ahead.
Screwball is scratched.
Oh boy.
And now I wonder if that's weather related.
I was going to say that could be a weather related thing, especially young pitcher. Like,
yeah.
Oh boy.
That's interesting.
So now the move for the other team is to absolutely delay. Now that Screwball is out, now they should late start because they already lost him. Then they don't lose their pitcher early either.
Right.
But anyways, so I assume someone is going to fill in for him. And is this someone dirt cheap? Do we know?
I mean, we don't have a name yet. It could just be a reliever that pitches 2 or 3.
Willie Peralta will start for the Tigers on Tuesday.
All right, let me look at what Peralta's done lately, but I don't think he's going to be too stretched out.
Boy, I might make another parlay for scores and odds right now, real quick.
Yeah, and the Tigers PR says due to expected weather tonight, Peralta will start. Skubal will start tomorrow's game.
Yeah, Peralta's maxed out at 44 pitches this year. He's going, I'd say, 60 tops here, if that.
So he's not an option.
No.
Okay. Well, is there a direct, if people were playing Skubal, is there like a pivot here? That was more of a tournament play anyways.
Yeah, he's 10-4. So like if you have the room for it, you can obviously go down and play Rodon, or you can get if you have money, you can get Verlander or Wright. Or if you like or if you do like Manoa, you go up and get Manoa for 11K. But I think that's overpaying, but he's been good this year.
Yeah. Okay. Carty, were you done talking stacks here? I'm sorry, I kind of cut you off with the Skubal news.
Oh, yeah, I like Philly.
Yeah.
I think the Dodgers are probably a little bit under-owned tonight, and I think Baltimore is really interesting.
Okay. You want to go position by position for us, Carty? You can start a catcher. Oh boy.
What's oh boy?
That's usually what you say when I'm like, you can start a catcher. Oh
That is usually what
boy.
I say. You always make me go first to catcher. All your friends, but
Yeah.
now catcher's pretty easy tonight. Wilson Contreras is like far and away the best option here. He's just a really good hitting catcher. He's facing kind of a weak pitcher. The weather in Baltimore is good. It's one of the hotter games. It's humid. There's some wind blowing out, I think 11 miles an hour. So this is a good spot. Contreras and cash. I think even on FanDuel, it's viable to play him, even though, it's catcher first base. And then you can play catchers in your stacks, like Real Muto in your Philly stacks, obviously is a great play, that type of thing. So, yeah, if you need to punt it, like Jason Castro, I think is probably your best bet. 2.6K. Houston's in a good spot. So yeah, that's catcher.
Okay. Dre, anything to add there?
No, like I really love JT Real Muto today. I think he's a great option to go with. I don't mind Alejandro Kirk. He's been hitting the ball phenomenally lately. So I would play him in your Toronto stacks, or even as a one-off at this point to see what he can do at 2.8. Wilson Contreras, he mentioned before, is good. Will Smith, I think going under. I know his price is 3-1 on FanDuel, but I think he's a good play. Coming in like 1%, maybe 2% ownership the most. That's really it. You can play Rutschman too if you put in your Baltimore stacks. I do like him today in Baltimore a little bit today as well.
Okay. Take us to first.
Okay, first base. Sorry, let me just get over there real quick. Vlad Guerrero, I love the spot for him today. One of my favorite guys hit a home run tonight. Pete Alonso as well, go against Darvish. Do like Reese Hopkins. These Philly guys are like really like, if they're going to be this like percentage owned, like just roster a lot of them if you can't. But I like Reese today a lot. I like Rizzo. Matt Olson is also going to be cheap. I mean, not cheap, but left out of most people's Atlanta stacks and a lefty match against Irvin. But I think he has a real shot to do really well today. And I do like Luke Voigt today, another guy who's coming a little bit under owned too.
Carty nodding in agreement with the Voigt call.
Yeah, I like Voigt a lot. He's the clear like best point per dollar guy on the slate. He's a legitimately good hitter.
Yeah,
who's facing a mediocre pitcher, and he's 2.7K hitting cleanup in a pretty good offense. Like it's a silly price for him on DraftKings. So I like Voigt a lot. I like Ryan Mountcastle. I mentioned thinking Baltimore's kind of sneaky, so I like Mountcastle in stacks or as a one-off. Over on FanDuel, I like Bobby Dalbec quite a bit. He's 2K. He comes in at 3% ownership. Boston is in a really, really good spot tonight. So especially because you're going to be spending up at pitcher tonight, you're going to want to buy a couple of the big bats at other positions. I'm fine just like punting first base because I don't think any of the high end first basemen are really anything special tonight. Like none of them like stand out as like a have to have kind of guy. Like Vlad's great, Freeman's great, Alonso's great, like whatever, but none of them are like great plays.
Gotcha. I don't know if you guys saw this, but Adam Duvall is out as well. He's scratched for the
I like
Braves.
Duvall. Okay, that's good to know.
So we'll make a pivot there. Also, quick question, and then we'll move on to second base, Carty. Can you unscratch someone? Let's say they late start this game because like they have to late start this game.
I think you can unscratch someone. Like there's nothing that they're like locked into pitching these guys.
Right.
They wouldn't do it because it would mess up his routine. Like
Sure.
he's not pitching. Like he's he had been warming up a little bit probably, and now he's stopped. Like they're not going to have him go out and do it again.
Right. That makes sense. Okay. Because they are almost definitely going to late start this game. Like the Storms are on them. If they don't, it's going to be a really early delay. So yeah, interesting. Okay. Second base, Carty.
Yeah, second base. So second base, there's actually a lot of options here, mostly because there isn't a truly good, like high end guy. You can pay up for Altuve or Story if you want. Like they're both good plays. But you know, on FanDuel, I like Altuve more than I do on DraftKings. But I think you can also just like go with cheap guys here. The Detroit righties on FanDuel, Javier Baez and Jonathan Scope, even though we like Quintana, like he is a lefty, like these guys are cheap. They have power. Quintana's not like a great pitcher by any means. So I like both of those guys on FanDuel. Over on DraftKings, I think there's a lot of options here, but like, I think the A's guys that are cheap are interesting, like Jed Lowry, Tony Kemp. They're getting a big park and weather upgrade going into Atlanta. Kyle Wright's been really good this year, but I do think he's pitching over his head a little bit. I think Odor is interesting in tournaments. Again, I like this Orioles kind of thing as a stack. Eddie Alvarez is cheap and a good way to make your Dodger stacks cheap. There's a lot at second base tonight. Jorge Polanco on FanDuel. There's a lot of second basemen, but no standouts.
Okay. Dre, what's your favorite second?
Crap, where I put the page at? Oh God, there we go. Sorry, I moved the first. Jose Altuve, someone I love a lot today. I'm high on Houston too as well, as far as getting more so probably as a secondary stack though. I like Jake Cronenworth today a lot. Jorge Polanco, Javier Baez. If you want to use him as a one-off, I like him today going against Quintana. I don't like he said. Carty said with Odor. I do not mind Odor today, especially in that 7th spot. Going to be coming in lesser wrong than a lot of guys today. So also some of the Yankees guys are interesting. I don't know if I mentioned them before, but like DJ LeMahieu, I do like him a lot today. I like Tony La Stella too in San Francisco. If you want to run like a mini sack with that too today as well. And Gavin Lux, if he's batting. He is in line batting 9th. I like him today as a sneaky little pick.
Okay. Third base. And real quick, let me add a quick weather thing. There's just this one healthy little shower that's about to move over Baltimore. I wouldn't be fully shocked if they late start. If they do, it should be fine. But if you see that, don't freak out. Just a heads up.
Okay. All right. Everyone, third base. So everyone's going to love Devers today, which I don't blame him. I think he's in a great spot against Suarez. But I really do for the same price like Manny Machado today. I really do like him against Walkers. Probably I would use him in stacks or as a one-off. I think he has a great shot of doing really well today. I like Alex Bregman as well. Guy like Josh Donaldson in my Yankee sacks. I don't mind taking shots on him. Nolan Arenado stands out to me going against Springs today as well. And then one more guy that I do kind of have that I have interest in. If you want to like for the Dodgers who are not really that high on today, Justin Turner. I think Justin Turner is a good pick today.
Okay, Carty, third base.
Yeah, Devers is the top guy. Love him, but I agree on the Machado call. Like Machado projects less than 1/4 of a point different than Devers. There's a $300 salary cap, and he projects for like 15 times less ownership or like something crazy. So, I like Machado for GPPs. I like Patrick Wisdom. I think he just has a lot of power. It's a good spot. So I like Wisdom. I like Matt Chapman. Again, I kind of said the Cubs in Toronto are a little overrated, but these are the two guys that I think do make the most sense because they're just at good price points. They both have good power. It's a solid enough spot for them. So I like it. Austin Riley over on FanDuel is kind of my preferred third baseman, I think. But yeah, you can make a case for quite a few third basemen also today. Who's the other one I liked? That might be it. Yeah, that's about it. That's third base.
Okay, go to short.
All right, shortstop. I mean, it's another position where I think, at least in cash, like you have to, because you're spending up on pitchers, you have to find ways to save. And so I mentioned at second base, the cheap A's guys, and I think Elvis Andrus at shortstop is interesting because it's a decent stolen base spot. It's a great park and weather upgrade. Wright's a little bit overrated. So I like him quite a bit. I mentioned the Detroit guys at second base, but Javier Baez in particular, he's shortstop eligible on FanDuel as well. And he's shortstop on DraftKings. Very well priced, platoon advantage, hitting cleanup. I think he's a good play. And yeah, besides that, it's just, I think probably like guys in your stacks, you know, Dansby Swanson in your Atlanta stacks, Trey Turner in your Dodgers stacks. You can do Bryson Stott in your Philly stacks if you want. You probably don't have to get that cute, but he's really cheap and you can do it if you just need a way to, you know, get more expensive spend ups with it or something like that.
Okay. Dre, short.
I like Trevor Story today. Bo Bichette is going to be very popular, but I like him today. Francisco Lindor is someone I also like in tournaments. Jeremy Pena, I like him a lot today. In the seventh hole going against Flexen today. I would probably use him definitely in my Houston stacks as well. And then one more guy that I do have some interest in Didi Gregorius, even though I know he's been pretty much okay, hitting decently today. I mean this year. But I just like him today, part of a Philly stack, or as a Philly stack today, if you want to go with him.
Okay, great. That brings us to the outfield. Dre, you can lead us off.
Okay, obviously I'm gonna go with my favorite guy, Jordan Alvarez. I will roster him every single night if I could. So just Jordan. I love Kyle Schwarber. I love Bryce Harper today as well. I think they're gonna just like crush the ball out the park today. Personally, Aaron Judge is another good option that I like to get to. I like Bucks as a one-off. I do also like Nick Castellanos as well too. And one more guy I'll talk about today that I do like is the guy in your Houston stacks that really doesn't get that much ownership is Michael Brantley. Always hitting the ball pretty well, so I like him.
Okay, Carty, some outfield plays.
Yeah, Shohei Ohtani is the top guy, I think. And on FanDuel, you're making him a priority in cash. DraftKings, you probably don't have the money to get up there. But the Phillies guys, like Dre said, Schwarber and Harper in particular, are really, really good. They're way too cheap. Outside of Ohtani and Ronald Acuna, they're the best outfielders on the slate. And you're getting Harper for barely 5K and Schwarber for a little over 4. Like, they're just stupid cheap. So I like both of them a lot. Who else? I like Harrison Bader quite a bit on DraftKings. Jose Siri in your Houston stacks, or even just as a one-off in cash. Like, I think he's good. Nomar Mazara is the bare min on DraftKings. He's 2K. We mentioned it with Voit. Like, it's a pretty good spot. He's a better hitter than 2K. And so I like Mazara quite a bit. Over on FanDuel though, obviously it's the salary isn't as much of an issue. So like, you can get up to Ohtani, you can get up to Acuna, you can play Schwarber or Harper. You can play Kike Hernandez for the Red Sox, who's a good play. You can play Teoscar, who's a good play for Toronto. Kyle Tucker for Houston. And I like Joey Gallo a lot in tournaments for a home run.
Okay. That's it. Oh, you're paying one team. I think you might have the same answer here, both of you.
Yeah.
One team to take down a tournament. Is it Phillies for both of you?
Yeah.
Easily Phillies.
Okay, there you have. I mean, Carty, they're your favorite team, and like not even including ownership, and you think they're coming in under owned.
Yeah, the bet has them projected as the second best stack today, before you even consider ownership or anything. So they're going to be so under owned.
Okay, great. Let's take some QQs and then we'll get out of here. Starting with the John Tom DKGPP. Dre, you want Wright and Springer or Rodon and Harper?
Rodon or Harper.
Great. Carty FanDuel cash question here. Altuve and Rizzo or Albies and Ohtani?
It's probably Albies and Ohtani. Yeah, but Albies isn't like a priority guy, but he's good.
Okay. DKGPP, Dre, In 20 lineups, I love the late night combo of Jock and Kike in at least half of them. Is that too much or not enough? Is he being too aggressive there? How would you play that?
I'm not really high on Jock today personally, but I don't know. I would say not half, maybe like a quarter.
Okay, great. Let's see. Fick says, is Bradish crazy in a DK GPP, Carty?
Kind of. I mean, I wouldn't do it. I think there's plenty of good pitchers on this slate where you don't need to mess with something like that.
Okay. Let's see. This is actually a similar question from Dan Jan, so I'll just give this one to Dre. How do you feel about the idea of playing Whitlock and Bradish with a Dodger stack and the high-end spend one-offs to get completely different from the field in a DK GPP?
I don't like. I mean, the Whitlock call I don't mind, but the Bradish call is what concerns me. I personally am not on Bradish at all. I think it's going to get blown up today. I personally wouldn't do it just off that alone.
Okay. All right. Carty, how is Milwaukee's bullpen this year? Jumping on board with the Philly stack and a DK single entry, but was hoping you could give your thoughts on their bullpen.
Yeah, it looks like the bat has them projected 9th, which isn't bad, but in past years they've been like 1 or 2 because they've been so good. So yeah, I mean they obviously have their high end guys. They have Hader, they have Devin Williams, but the depth behind them is not very good this year.
Okay. Fick says, Roth, would you mind giving a weather update before lock? And related to that, is it time to X out Quintana with the weather? Where is Quintana? Is that Pittsburgh?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes, I don't think you should play a pitcher in that game since they haven't announced a late start. I think they're going to have a delay there within an hour and probably less than that. So, maybe they run him back. I just don't do it. It just seems unnecessarily risky. I would not do it. Carty, you have thoughts on that?
I mean, I like him a lot for tournaments. I like the strikeout prop, which now seems like maybe wasn't a great bet.
Right.
So, I mean, hopefully the weather holds off long enough, but yeah, it's tough too, because like he was going to be one of the more under-owned pitchers on this slate, who's like one of the best pitchers on the slate. So it's a tough call.
Yeah. The next question, also weather related. Do I think bats are okay in Pittsburgh? I do. I'm a little bit concerned that they haven't announced a late start. I feel that it just seems like that's what they should do, and that they haven't has me a little nervous. But I mean, if they just give it 60 to 90 minutes, all the rain's gone and they can play a full game uninterrupted. So I just think that they should play baseball tonight. The other thing I wanted to talk about briefly was Atlanta, where there are these storms upstream that keep popping and models have them fading out. I've got the risk hit yellow there for just a chance of a delay. To be honest with you, I'm a little more worried than that, but I'm not worried enough that I think you should fade it or do anything about it. But just, I don't know. I should probably just keep that kind of thing to myself, honestly, if I don't think you should do anything about it. On to more QQs. Here's an interesting one. Quintana strikeout prop. Should we take the under?
That's actually a smart idea. If you think if it's going to be a delay in the middle of it, take the under. Yes. Yeah. I will play both ways personally.
I don't think I'd go as far as saying take the under, because if the game plays, you're getting value on the over. You really need to feel like there's a very high chance of that.
There's a very high chance. Like, I said like that.
Do you think it's going to play and stop and then continue? Or like, if it's going to play and stop and continue, take the under. If it's going to get delayed, play the over.
Well, my only thought is that they haven't announced a late start, and I don't know why. The game starts in 10 minutes or something. Like,
I would take the under to be safe. And that's just because I think it's going to I think it's going to be delayed, like you said, in the middle of it.
You're saying to take the under to be safe if you already have the over, right?
Well, yeah, because if it's gonna be, but even now, I probably would lean more towards taking the under, just because it's gonna probably be a delay at some point. And unless it gets to, like you said, 5 innings, he could get his strikeout overs in 5 innings, definitely.
It's not getting to 5 innings. Let me just stop you there.
So if it's not getting to 5 innings, then I'd probably just take the under, or just not put in your player props at all.
Yeah. All right. All right. How do you guys feel about a Met stack and DK single entry? Like, hey, Darvish isn't that good. Carty?
Yeah, I mean, they're fine. Darvish is kind of overrated. The Mets are kind of overrated. It kind of cancels out tonight. They're fine. I think there's better options, but I'm not going to tell you you're wrong to do it. You know.
Okay.
Yeah, the Mets are a good offense. It's a good stolen base spot at least. Like you're fine.
All right. Dre DY says, what are your thoughts on a
I think there's better ones depending on. Yeah, they're just not great. But yeah, that's what I do.
Okay. P.S. Your comment to Chinatown was fantastic. You're hired. Okay, let's see. We've got about 5 minutes until lock. So if you've got those questions, get them in now. If not, we're into it.
Oh, I knew it was going to happen too.
Yeah, that's.
Joey Votto 3-run home run.
Oh, nice. I didn't know Joey Votto was still like a thing. I thought he was no longer a thing.
Oh yeah, Joey.
He's good.
Yeah,
that's
I
good to hear.
love Joey Votto.
Bazinga says, Ross, so are pitchers in the Atlanta game safe or no? And Carty, do you have anything on this Eddie Alvarez guy for the Dodgers? I would not call them safe. No.
Yeah, no, Eddie Alvarez, or Alvarez, I don't know how you pronounce it.
Yeah.
He projects pretty well in the bat tonight. He's really cheap on DraftKings. He's 2,100. So he's a good way to save money. He projects for low ownership. He's a way to make your Dodger stacks more affordable. He just makes stuff work and is really good at a crappy position at a really cheap price point in the best offense in baseball. So I like him.
Okay.
Oh God.
What's up?
No, just DY. Well, DY's no. Don't play Walker today. Don't play Walker today. I'm gonna ask this question: is Walker a good play with Angels at 11-game losing streak? No.
Okay. Amateur Hour says, all right, Carty, losing Duvall and Skubal effed my lineup. Favorite pitcher 11K or less.
So
Likely playing Trevorino at catcher. There's a lot going on.
Here, let me look at this question. So playing Trevino at catcher. Oh, wait, hold on. Wow, yeah, there's a lot. Okay. Don't do Manoah. I don't like Manoah at all today. You can scratch out that option. Holy crap. Okay. I'm trying to parse this question. Jesus. Yeah. MJ Melendez is the best catcher, 3,900 or less. Rodon is the best pitcher, 11K or less. I don't understand the rest. Don't play Manoah. That's
Okay.
where I'm at.
That's a good enough answer. All right. Can someone in the chat let me know what the weather report?
Oh, Pittsburgh delayed it. Let's
There you go.
That's what you all get for hitting the unders. That's what you get.
There we go.
That was close. So yeah, take him now with the unders.
Yeah, anyone who's stuck with Quintana or anyone who can still keep him in there, do it, because I mean his ownership might be even lower than it would have been otherwise.
Oh, I gotta get my. I'm busy sitting here worrying about. I didn't get my.
Where do we see that this game is delayed? Straw, can you
Oh, yeah.
like,
I'm really just
hit a
trusting
link?
one guy in the chat room.
yeah, can you give me a link to that somewhere? Okay, here we go. I found it.
Got it.
Yeah, there's a tarp.
Okay.
Okay, amen. Should I run it?
Yeah, and the key. How long does this delay last? You think, Roth? Because I mean, the Quintana overs. Someone's asking about the Quintana over now. Like, it makes you like him even a little bit more because it'll get colder, you know, when they start the game.
Hour and a half.
All right, it's not bad.
Yeah.
Joey Votto's such a boss.
I put my home run, my favorite home run plays in the crunch time chats. If anyone take those, round robin them or run them individually if you want to. Just play whoever you want from them.
Okay.
Let's see. Okay, I gotta get my stacking. I didn't even get that in yet. I really want to run a Pittsburgh Houston stack today. I think that's a really good stack.
Okay. Now we got to hope they don't postpone that game, which they shouldn't. You know, you can play baseball for 90 minutes, but there have just been some really soft postponements this year. So it's at least something to consider. Pittsburgh team total over, Quintana plus 110 at all the books who haven't changed it. I don't know what that means.
Oh, I forgot. Since I'm not playing, Pittsburgh says that, hey, I got Tony in my lineup in. I'm sitting here rushing.
Yeah. We're just a few seconds away from the locks. If you have any of those questions, feel free to get them in. If you don't, and you're watching this on YouTube and thought, wow, those guys masterfully navigated this complex slate, go ahead, drop a like, hit subscribe, and sign up for some Rotogrinders Premium as well. We do it every day, including weekends, every sport, everything. We do it all here. So sign up. Oh, here's a question I missed. Fanduel Cash, Carty, Riley Scope or Bregman Albies?
Say that again.
It was Riley Scope or Bregman Albies.
And sorry, what was the format?
Fanduel Cash.
Riley Scope.
Alex says, should we minimize exposure to Atlanta stacks since we may not see Irvin on the mound for Oakland for his normal rotation?
What does that mean?
I think maybe he's worried about weather. I don't think you should do anything about weather in Atlanta. Like, there's showers around and storms around, but I don't feel confident enough in a delay that I think you should make any choices on it whatsoever. So if that was a weather related question, I wouldn't do anything about it. Let's see, another Fanduel Cash. So Carty, I'm going to give this one to you. Teoscar and Kirk or Bobby D and Schwarber?
Bobby D and Schwarber.
Okay. All right. We hit lock. Anything you guys want to add?
I do also do like the Padres has a little bit of a sneaky stack too. Just want to let people know about that.
Okay.
Yeah, they have some really well-priced guys tonight, especially considering that they are nice.
Okay, excellent. With that, I think we can get on out of here. So for Dre, for Carty, and for our wonderful production crew, always working hard behind the scenes, guys, we appreciate you. We love you, and we will catch you tomorrow. You have been crunched.